look at it, and I'll be reacting to it live. Give me a second. Let me get ready for that.
Articles of impeachment.
The gentleman from Ohio wishes to reserve. The gentleman from Ohio wishes to reserve.
Madam Speaker, could I ask how much time each side has?
The gentleman from Ohio has 36 1/4 minutes remaining. And the gentleman from New York has 36 3/4 minutes remaining.
We reserve.
The gentleman from Ohio wishes to reserve. The gentleman from New York is recognized.
Madam Speaker, I now yield 30 seconds to the gentleman from Massachusetts, Mr. Auchincloss.
The gentleman from Massachusetts is recognized for 30 seconds.
Madam Chair, a mob desecrated our Capitol, killed a police officer, and attempted to overthrow our government on the orders of the President of the United States.
Madam Chair,
immediate impeachment is our duty under a Constitution that compels us to defend against enemies foreign and domestic. As a Marine officer, I defended our democracy from foreign enemies. As a member of Congress, I am solemnly resolved to defend it from domestic ones. With this vote, we strike a blow for moral leadership. I yield back.
Yields back. The gentleman from New York wishes to reserve. The gentleman from Ohio is recognized.
Madam Speaker, I yield 2 minutes to the gentleman from Ohio, Mr.
The gentleman from Ohio is recognized for 2 minutes.
Madam Speaker, America is at a crossroads. As the violent riots at the Capitol last week so painfully and shockingly reminded us, the unhinged partisan rhetoric that too often consumes the political dialogue in this country has become toxic and is tearing us apart. If we continue down this path, there's no telling how much damage to our union there may be. Sadly, that's what's happening here today. The majority is rushing through yet a second impeachment of President Trump, who has but 7 days remaining in office. As prominent constitutional law professor Jonathan Turley has cautioned, today a dangerous precedent is being set that could lead to the normalization of snap impeachments without any hearings or any meaningful discussion or debate. The majority is ramming through this House the most potent tool at our disposal without a single hearing, turning a process that usually takes months into a few short hours. We haven't heard a testimony from a single witness. We haven't heard from any experts on the nature of these charges, nor the damage this effort could inflict on our republic. We didn't even know how this debate would unfold until 9 o'clock this morning. This is truly an unprecedented situation, and one which could cause irrevocable harm to our nation. But, Madam Speaker, it doesn't have to be this way. We don't have to continue down this misguided path. We could instead follow the wisdom provided by none other than Abraham Lincoln during another divisive time in our nation's history and listen to the better angels of our nature. We could choose a more positive, constructive path and vote down this ill-conceived effort. We should tone down the political rhetoric. We should work together to solve the problems that face our nation. We should put aside our differences and find common ground. And we should bring Americans back together, because there's no crisis we can't overcome if we stand united. And I yield back.
Gentleman from Ohio yields back. The gentleman from Ohio wishes to reserve. The gentleman from New York is recognized.
Speaker, I now yield 1 minute to the distinguished gentlelady from Washington, Ms. Herrera Butler.
The gentlewoman from Washington is recognized for 1 minute.
My fellow Americans, I rise today to stand against our enemy. And to clarify, our enemy isn't the president or the president-elect. Fear is our enemy. Fear tells us what we want to hear. It incites anger and violence and fire. But it also haunts us into silence and inaction. What are you afraid of? I'm afraid of what people will say or think. I'm afraid of being devalued. I'm not afraid of losing my job, but I am afraid that my country will fail. I'm afraid patriots of this country have died in vain. I'm afraid my children won't grow up in a free country. I'm afraid injustice will prevail. But truth sets us free from fear. Truth doesn't guarantee bad things won't happen, but it does promise to always prevail in the end. It has no shadows where darkness can hide. With truth comes love, and we could use that right now. My vote to impeach our sitting president is not a fear-based decision. I am not choosing a side, I'm choosing truth. It's the only way to defeat fear.
The gentlewoman yields back. The gentleman from New York wishes to reserve his time. The gentleman from Ohio is recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I would yield 1 minute to the gentlelady from Texas, Ms. Van Dyne.
The gentlewoman from Texas is yielded 1 minute.
Thank you very much. Today, I should be in my district working for my constituents. Instead, I'm back here in Washington because the majority could not resist another made-for-TV impeachment. American workers are losing their jobs and struggling to feed their families. Small businesses are being forced to lay off workers and close their doors. Families are tragically losing loved ones to the coronavirus. Instead of creating or even saving American jobs or negotiating additional COVID relief, we're debating an impeachment that's been preceded by no inquiry, no meaningful debate, and no due process. In 1 week's time, Joe Biden will be the president. The American people need us to rise above the heat of the moment, to focus on their needs and deliver real solutions. Because the majority decided we should debate whether or not to remove a sitting president in just 2 hours, I'll be brief. I oppose this article of impeachment and I yield back.
The lady yields back. The gentleman from Ohio wishes to reserve. The gentleman from New York is recognized.
Madam Speaker, I now yield 30 seconds to the distinguished gentlelady from Georgia, Ms. Bordeaux.
The gentlewoman from Georgia is recognized for 30 seconds.
Madam Speaker, I teach a civics class where I point out that our democracy is not self-executing. It requires people of good faith and ethics to make it work. The president has repeatedly challenged Georgia's election results, but despite 3 recounts and many investigations, the results are clear. Joe Biden won Georgia. The idea that our election was fraudulent is a lie. Our president used this lie to incite a violent mob to attack the Capitol. I ask my colleagues to act with ethics and good faith, to reject these lies, and in this case to support the article of impeachment. I yield back.
Gentlewoman's time has expired. The gentleman from New York wishes to reserve. The gentleman from Ohio is recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I will yield 1 minute to the gentleman from Florida, Mr. Posey.
The gentleman from Florida has 1 minute.
In our campaigns, we may be adversaries, but usually after the campaign season's over, we have traditionally come together for the good of our nation. Now, more than ever in our lifetimes, we're a divided nation. One of the reasons? The resist movement, which has harassed, harangued, and otherwise denigrated the president since the second he became the nominee. While his sins may be different than yours or mine, they are clearly not treasonous. Let our men and women in blue, who suffered a lot more stress than the members of Congress they protected, have the time they deserve to recuperate, and do the same for millions of Americans who feel they've been disenfranchised. I beseech my colleagues on both sides of the aisle, if you truly want our nation to heal, vote no in this resolution. It reeks of nothing more than revenge and sets a dangerous precedent. May God continue to bless the United States of America.
The gentleman yields back. The gentleman from Ohio wishes to reserve. The gentleman from New York is recognized.
Madam Speaker, I now yield 30 seconds to the distinguished gentleman from Maryland, Mr. Brown.
The gentleman from Maryland is recognized for 30 seconds.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. A week ago, Americans in this chamber lived through one of our darkest days. The Commander-in-Chief incited a mob of insurrectionists to overturn the results of a free and fair election through terror and intimidation. They failed, but this violence took its toll. People died, our country's temple of democracy was vandalized, and our image as the world's leading democracy was shaken. President Trump represents a real threat to our national security, our democratic institutions, and the people of this country. We cannot let Donald Trump, who actively orchestrated sedition, lead our nation's government for another 7 days. We cannot wait until January 20th. Donald Trump must be removed. Thank you, and I yield back to
it's
that.
just looking crazier and crazier, man.
Continues to reserve. The gentleman from Ohio is recognized.
You want to call in? Number to call in is 253-203-6784.
The gentleman from Texas is recognized for 1 minute.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And I also want to thank my Democratic colleagues for finally joining Republicans in condemning mob violence after 6 months of refusing to acknowledge it. But I'm really tired of sanctimonious sermons on being a sore loser from some of the same Democrats who opposed accepting results in elections past. Democrats have objected to certifying every Republican victory of the 21st century. In 2000, 2004, and in 2016, Democrats objected every time. When they objected, it was patriotic. But when Republicans do it, we're inciting a mob. We're liars and we're traitors. This is the double standard we should expect under total Democrat control. They've called for unrest in the streets. They've called for harassing cabinet officials. They've objected to certifying election results time and time again. Even the Judiciary Chairman secured clemency for a domestic terrorist who detonated a bomb right here in this building.
Wow.
But we're the extremists? I don't think so. We've been silenced by big tech on social media. by corporate America, and now the other side wants to silence us on the House floor. This is a sad day in America. I urge my colleagues to vote no.
The gentleman's time's expired. The gentleman from Ohio wishes to reserve.
Thank you,
The
ma'am.
gentleman from New York is recognized.
Right.
Madam Speaker, I now yield 30 seconds to a new member of the House and a new member of the Judiciary Committee, the distinguished gentlelady from Missouri, Ms. Bush.
The gentlewoman from Missouri is recognized for 30 seconds.
Madam Speaker, St. Louis and I rise in support of the article of impeachment against Donald J. Trump. If we fail to remove a white supremacist president who incited a white supremacist insurrection, it's communities like Missouri's 1st District that suffer the most. The 117th Congress must understand that we have a mandate to legislate in defense of Black lives. The first step in that process is to root out white supremacy, starting with impeaching the white supremacist in chief. Thank you, and I yield back.
The gentleman from New York wishes to reserve. The gentleman from Ohio seeks recognition.
Madam Speaker, I yield 1 minute to the gentleman from Texas, Dr. Jackson.
The gentleman from Texas is recognized for 1 minute.
Here we go.
Madam Speaker, I rise in opposition to the articles of impeachment.
Why?
Let me be clear. What happened last Wednesday was a stain on our nation, and the criminals and the rioters responsible should be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law.
Right.
It is clear now more than ever that our country needs to come together. And this Congress, needs to lead by example and begin the process of healing the deep division that exists among us as Americans. The articles before us today will not...
You want to heal the deep division within us Americans, right? Then why would you bring that stupid ass lawsuit then in Texas? Why would you allow that? If you want to bring somebody together, you don't then sue them.
Accomplish that. In fact, the sham articles of impeachment will only serve to further fan the flames of unrest and to appease the radical left's appetite for division.
Wait, so an impeachment vote, a mere impeachment vote is what it takes to make somebody angry when it's completely legal for Congress to do this. It doesn't matter if you agree or not. It's completely legal. Completely legal. That's what you complain about, a completely legal process. What was the point you going to court if you're gonna now complain about a completely legal process?
We should be focusing on restoring communities devastated by lockdowns, working on America's vaccine rollout, aiding a bipartisan investigation into these attacks, and ensuring election integrity.
Wait, see, ensuring election integrity. You are repeating the exact same lines that incited these people to begin with. Do you have any proof that the election was stolen from Donald J. Trump? Do you have any proof of widespread voter fraud that would have changed the outcome of the election? That's the exact same argument that I was using in 2016 against the left. I said, do you have any proof of massive voter fraud that would have changed the outcome of the election? And in 2016, you had the left saying, well, there's these incidents and this incident of voter fraud. And I'm like, yeah, but would that have changed the outcome of the overall outcome? And the answer was no in 2016. And the answer is no now. So when you keep saying and repeating the exact same thing that you know is inciting these people, you're not pushing for healing. You're pushing for more division. You can't just keep blaming Antifa, BLM, and the left over and over and over again just because you don't want to face responsibility for your own actions.
Not impeaching a president who has promised a peaceful transition and who has less than 7 days left in office. It is time to focus on the unprecedented challenge.
And in less than 7 days in 2021, we got a riot at the goddamn Capitol. So please do not spout that BS about, well, he only has 7 days left. That doesn't mean anything. Donald Trump can cause damage within 1 day.
We face, and it's time to focus on unity. For these reasons, I urge my colleagues to oppose these articles of impeachment, and I yield back my time. Thank you.
The gentleman yields back his time. The gentleman from Ohio wishes to reserve. The gentleman from New York is recognized.
Madam Speaker, I now yield 30 seconds to the distinguished gentlelady from New York, Ms. Clark.
The gentlewoman from New York is recognized for 30 seconds.
Madam Speaker, today I rise to support HRS 24, the article of impeachment against Donald Trump for high crimes and misdemeanors for a second time. Let us be very clear. What took place on January 6, 2021 was an act of domestic terrorism by right-wing, sycophantic white supremacists promoted, instigated,
I wouldn't call them all white supremacists. I would say that they are just anarchists. But I will say there were a lot of white supremacists within those numbers, though. I mean, if I see a bunch of Nazi tattoos, a bunch of white supremacist tattoos, then that's kind of what I'm gonna go with.
The man in the White House, Donald Trump. Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. once said, the ultimate weakness of violence is that it is a descending spiral, begetting the very thing it sets to destroy. Instead of diminishing evil, it multiplies it.
Time has expired. The gentleman.
Very good quote by MLK. Yeah. In some cases, when people spout their nonsense, man, they don't reduce evil. They only multiply it. And I want you to notice the increased security there. I mean, and notice how the windows are still bust out there. They haven't even got a chance to even repair this stuff yet, because this happened only days ago.
From New York wishes to reserve. The gentleman from Ohio is recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I will yield 2 minutes to the gentleman from Wisconsin, Mr. Tiffany.
The gentleman from Wisconsin is recognized for 2 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. My father once said to me, just because you can do something doesn't mean you should.
Right.
In the short time I've served in this body, one thing is clear. This is not a serious place. Last year we watched as the other...
This is not a serious place. So it took this right here to realize this is not a serious place. It wasn't the $600, the nonsensical $600 or the nonsensical $1,200, which means a grand total of $1,800 for people who've been unemployed for months and months and months. No. It took this scenario to make you believe that this haul is not very, very serious. I mean, if you listen to these people, these freaking jokers, these freaking crooks, these liars, these thieves, it's hard to believe a word that they say.
The other side delayed COVID relief for months to inflict maximum pain and sway the outcome of the election. The Speaker said as much. And yet these last 2 days, we have seen just how fast they can move when they want to exact political retribution on their opponents.
Because in the past 2 days, the past week, since last week Wednesday, and mind you, I want you to keep in mind, it's officially been a week since the attack. Okay? It's officially been a week. The reason why they move so fast is because what just happened is unprecedented. It's never happened before. Okay, so when you go around saying silly stuff like, well, you see how fast they move now, well, that's kind of like saying, well, the cops didn't move so fast when there was a freaking kitten in the goddamn tree, but then all of a sudden somebody show up with a bunch of guns and freaking bombs, and all of a sudden the cops are activated. Well, yeah, dumbass. Yeah, I would kind of expect that because the level of threat is different. Okay, so that's why they're moving so fast versus anything else, because their lives were directly threatened. Nothing makes you move faster quite like when your life is threatened. So Representative Tim Tiffany, the Republican from Wisconsin, you are an idiot, but I'll let you continue.
My friends on the other side now have complete control of both houses of Congress, and in a few days they will control the entire executive branch as well. Madam Speaker, Joe Biden has talked about unity and healing.
Right.
Is that what this is today?
Tom Tiffany, Representative Tom Tiffany, I want you to understand something. There's a difference between unity and stupidity. I would preach unity if I was Joe Biden. I would preach unity if I was Donald Trump. But what I would not preach is stupidity. Okay? When you say stuff like this and don't take any responsibility for some of for the role that your party played. Again, notice how he's putting all the blame on the left. He's not saying anything Republicans did. He's not saying any of that. He's just saying what the left did. Right? Notice that throughout this whole speech, he has not mentioned what the right did or their role in playing this. It's just what the left did.
Is accusing Republican lawmakers of sedition and calling for their expulsion
right
the plan for healing?
Yeah.
Is working with Silicon Valley to digitally disappear those with whom they disagree with the plan for reconciliation?
Yes, because when they're using those same Silicon Valley social media sites to sit there and plan attacks, yes, sometimes you got to act. Now, I don't like what happened to Parler and to some other sites. I don't like it. However, when you give people the keys to the kingdom, that's what you have to expect. When you give people a reason in which to do that, you have to kind of expect that. You can't just sit back and say, oh, they're targeting me. Oh, my God, they are targeting me, guys. Guys, they're going after me. But then you do stuff in which to be targeted.
Reconciliation? I was among the first to condemn the riots in Madison months ago.
And I condemn what happened last week. But
right. So you wanna do you want a cookie? Do you want a cookie for condemning riots? Ooh, hey guys, I condemn riots, guys. Guys, I'm special. I condemn riots, guys. That makes me special. Guys, listen. I condemn riots, okay? I am anti-riot, guys. Guys, you have never seen a more anti-riot guy than freaking me, okay? You have not seen a more anti-riot guy than me, all right? I am against riots. You will not riot in my presence, okay? All right, guys, but anyways, hit the like button. Share the content. Share the stream. If you want to participate in the show, call in 253-203-6784. Subscribe and hit the notification bell. Follow me on all social media platforms. Consider a Patreon donation. Visit my merch store. Links are in the description. Let's continue. All right, so let's go. It's being a little slow at the moment.
But where were the swift accusations of incitement and insurrection from the other side last year? Is today's political theater a preview of what the American people can expect from single-party rule?
Right. Because the reason why you didn't see, mass condemnation of the other side is because you didn't have the other side giving speeches in front of damn Antifa intentionally, knowing what they were gonna probably do. You also didn't have the other side, right, calling for people to come and hang Mike Pence. You didn't have masses of people chanting that. So let's also be honest. Let's also cut the bullshit, okay? Because again, when you start bringing in the bullshit and you're not being honest, completely forthcoming and honest about your side's role in this, notice again, he's not saying anything that the right did to contribute to this. It's just the left.
2 years of double standards and punishing those who voted for someone else. Madam Speaker, I hope Mr. Biden is watching today, and he will rise to the moment and call off this effort to rub salt in the wounds of millions of Americans. It is not.
If having an impeachment vote is rubbing salt in the wounds of millions of Americans, and it's all because of one man, doesn't that tell you that it's less about the impeachment vote and more about the man? Which means at that point you are a cult. See, if you're truly upset about a president being impeached, you would have been so upset about Bill Clinton. And a lot of people on the right were happy with that with Bill Clinton. A lot of people were. So it's not the impeachment. And if somebody were to bring a serious vote of impeachment to Barack Obama, I am not convinced that the right for the most part would care. I think the right would actually cheer that on. Because I saw how the right acted when Barack Obama was in office. So if that's the case, it's less about the impeachment vote itself and more about the man, which lets me know that's a cult. That's a cult.
Now time for all of us, Democrats and Republicans alike, to turn down the temperature. Thank you.
The gentleman kneels back. The gentleman from Ohio wishes to reserve. The gentleman from New York is recognized.
It's hard to turn down the temperature when you have Nazis.
Madam Speaker, I now yield 30 seconds to the distinguished gentleman from Missouri, Mr. Cleaver.
The gentleman from Missouri is recognized for 30 seconds.
Mr. Cleaver.
Madam Speaker, it would be an error to suppose that men and women can be courageous every day.
Right.
It would be unfair to anticipate that I or any member of this body could be a lion every day.
Right.
No one is expected to be a lion day after day after day. But on this day, lions are required.
The gentleman yields back his time. The gentleman
that was short and sweet. That was short and sweet. That was short and sweet. I mean, the man didn't bullshit. You can apply that phrase anywhere, but he spoke it like a politician, and I like that. Keep it short and sweet. Save us some money. Cut off them damn lights. Vote for impeachment. Let's bring this shit on.
Reserves. The gentleman from Ohio is recognized.
We reserve.
The gentleman from Ohio wishes to reserve. The gentleman from New York is recognized.
Madam Speaker, I now yield 30 seconds to the distinguished gentleman from Tennessee, Mr. Cohen.
The gentleman from Tennessee is recognized for 30 seconds.
Thank you very much. After President Trump was not impeached, Susan Collins said,
you know, I got a feeling I'm about to hear a lot of BS, but let's listen.
Susan Collins said he's learned a pretty big lesson. He was impeached. Then he brought his It Will Be Wild, riotous television show that he produced for one person, individual one.
What?
Intelligence reports indicate that the people he said he loves and are special are going to attack this city and attack this Capitol next week. He has...
Right. There was actually intelligence reports showing that these people were actually planning this. So that would mean that Donald Trump probably knew about it. See, that's why I'm not giving Trump a freaking pass here. He probably knew about it. There's no way, because again, there were FBI memos that were passed around, and if FBI memos are passed around about Washington D.C., the Secret Service knew about it. And if Secret Service knew about it, that means that Trump probably also knew about it. That means that if there's no way you're going to tell me that there's a global pandemic out there, there is a high chance of violence. People, the FBI actually revealed. And there's several people who've actually revealed that they knew there was a threat to freaking Mike Pence, because they kept zeroing in on Mike Pence a week before this and even a month before this about how Mike Pence could change the outcome of the election by decertifying states' results, their electoral college results. So you can kind of see where that was going. I knew Mike Pence was going to become a target at some point. I knew that every Republican who had any kind of power, any kind of say, was going to become a target because, again, to the mob, to a fanatic, to a cult member, it doesn't matter who you are. It just matters that you didn't give that person what they wanted. So keep in mind that you're going to see more of this, but we already knew, I mean, at least what we didn't, but the FBI already knew that, and therefore the Secret Service probably also knew. These agencies talk. They're not just silent. They don't just exist in a freaking bubble. They actually talk. So there's no way you're going to tell me the Secret Service didn't know about this. And the Secret Service knew about it. Trump also probably knew about it. And that's probably why he also tweeted out, it's going to be wild. Now, a lot of his words, a lot of his actions make sense. It adds up now.
Not asked them not to do it. He has not told them to stand down. I most fear January 20th, because I think he will try to go out with a bang and take attention away from Joe Biden.
The gentleman's time has expired, and there will be order in the House.
Right.
The gentleman from New York reserves. The gentleman from Ohio is recognized.
Madam Speaker, statement from the President. I urge that there must be no violence, no law-breaking, no vandalism of any kind. This is not what I stand for. This is not what America stands for. I call on all Americans to help ease tensions and calm down. Just put out that statement by the President of the United States.
Right. He just put a statement, but what did he put out after the attack? In fact, he was pretty silent for a while. We didn't even hear anything from the Department of Defense or the Department of Justice. Even the FBI, CIA, Secret Service. Nobody even addressed the American people until yesterday or even Monday, almost a week later. And then shortly after, he's telling people, you got to go home now. He's still talking about a so-called rigged election when he knows what those words do. It's clear what those words do. It's clear. Because as those people are breaching the Capitol, they're shouting epithets, shouting memoirs of Trump's tweets. Stop the steal. The election was rigged. You're stealing the election from us. We are the 75 million. When they're repeating his words and he goes on to echo those exact same words while pretending to say, "Oh, go home." And pretending that nowhere deep down inside in his heart of hearts did he ever wish for this to happen so that it could kind of force the issue. Stop it. Come on now.
I yield 2 minutes to the gentleman from Virginia, Mr. Klein.
The gentleman from Virginia is recognized for 2 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I thank the President for his words. Above the entrance to the House of Representatives is a sculpture called the Apotheosis of Democracy. It depicts allegorical peace dressed in armor and protecting the genius of America.
Right.
Last week, that peace was tragically torn apart as our U.S. Capitol was invaded for the first time since the War of 1812. A violent mob, including many with the most hostile of intentions, broke past security barriers and unleashed destruction and chaos throughout the Capitol. When it was over, 6 individuals were dead, including 2 Capitol Police officers. I've always supported the rights of citizens to be...
Right. So the other police officer who died, he died from suicide. He killed himself because, you know, after something like that happens, I can kind of see it. He killed himself. So one officer died from being hit in the head with a fire extinguisher, pretty much died from blunt force trauma, got smashed in the head so hard to the point where he died. And the other officer killed himself. So Blue Lives Matter has claimed 2 officer lives. Oh my God, let's continue.
Peaceably assemble, but those who breached the Capitol and assaulted and killed Capitol Police should be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. If their intent was to stop the constitutional requirement of this body to count electoral votes, they should be charged and prosecuted for insurrection against the government. But we are a nation of laws, not of men, and the legal standard for incitement to violence has not been met. Now,
wait, hold on. The legal standard for incitement to violence has not been met. That's not for you to say. That's not for you to say. That's not for you to say. It's an impeachment vote. It's not a criminal journey. It's based on the House's standard. It's not a criminal court standard because none of you are judges. Some of you are attorneys, but that doesn't make you a judge, nor does that make you trustworthy. It's an impeachment vote. Let's cut the freaking theatrics, okay?
People's House, and a week until a new president takes office, we are rushing through an impeachment without all of the facts and evidence and without due process. We don't.
You are in the place that holds the evidence. Do you not understand that a week ago you would have all the evidence that you needed if you just paid attention and just been honest? But you're not going to do that, right?
Know what kind of information the offenders have, what evidence will come out during their trials, whether it bolsters the majority's claims or the minority's views, or whether it implicates other individuals, groups, or other officials in the attack.
What does it matter? We know that they were Trump supporters. We know that even if you say, well, there's that one BLM guy that showed up. That one BLM guy, he showed up, guys. See, that means that Antifa did it. That means that the BLMs did it. It wasn't the Trump supporters or the Blue Lives Matter or the QAnon people or the Proud Boys. It wasn't us at all, or freaking Patriot Prayer or the Oath Keepers. No, it wasn't us, guys. I promise you, it wasn't us at all. It was those darn Antifers. Those darn those darn Black Lives Matterers. Okay? It was thems. Bullshit. You see how they're not trying to. They will speak out of both sides of their mouth. They'll say in one breath, well, you know, the violence was not justified. But then in the very, very next breath, they'll say something silly like, well, but the left. And then you're rushing through this vote, and this is gonna cause more violence. If a simple act in Congress that does not affect the whole nation as a total, but just affects one man who is outgoing in a week, causes more violence, does not say more about people who are going to become violent than the people who are doing the votes.
On this hallowed institution, we just don't know, and that's why we must treat the power of impeachment and our responsibility as holders of this power with the seriousness and solemnity it deserves. Let us gather the evidence. Let us hear it in judiciary. Make an informed decision together. This action will only further fuel the political divide among our citizens and will be detrimental to the long-term efforts to unify our country. I reiterate my call from last night. Let us work together. Both President Trump and President-elect Biden have called for a peaceful transition of power. I humbly beseech my colleagues to work toward this end to unify our country and not go down this dangerous path. I yield back.
The gentleman yields back. This time the gentleman from Ohio wishes to reserve. The gentleman from New York is recognized.
Madam Speaker, I now yield 30 seconds to the distinguished gentleman from Rhode Island, Mr. Langevin.
The gentleman from Rhode Island is recognized for 30 seconds.
Madam Speaker, January 6th was a horrific day for our country, for our democracy. The Capitol was breached, the blood of a defender.
This is how you know these people are way too old, man. Like, I'm not trying to pick on a man because he's in a wheelchair, but look at all these geriatric people, man. We need some younger people in Congress. Seriously, yo. We got to do better about not electing Stephen Hawking, yo. We gotta elect some younger people and get some younger blood in there, because these people are old and rich. They don't care about you. It's pretty clear. It's pretty clear.
Offenders spilled, all because of a lie that the elections were stolen. A lie that has infected this nation as perniciously as the pandemic. President Trump is the source of that lie. He has perverted and betrayed his oath to defend the Constitution, attacking the foundation of our democracy by inciting his supporters to violence. He is not fit to serve and is a danger to our country while he does. I, too, pledge to support and defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. I will uphold that office. I will vote to impeach President Trump. I urge my colleagues to do the same.
The gentleman from New York wishes to reserve. The gentleman from Ohio is recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I yield 1 minute to the gentleman from Pennsylvania, Mr. Perry.
The gentleman from Pennsylvania is recognized for 1 minute.
What did the Speaker know, and what did other legislative leaders know, and when did they know it?
You know what? Whoo! He is speaking good truth. See, that's the other thing. So House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and Mitch McConnell and all the rest of them, what did they know and when did they know it? Did they know about this stuff? Did they know about the Capitol riots? Did the FBI brief them? That's a good question. I like this man already. This man is about to go in. I got a feeling. Oh my God, he's already asking the questions that should have been asked from the very, very get-go.
Maybe that's a rush to impeach the president, because so we'll never know what legislative leaders here knew. The FBI knew about a number of individuals that were planning a war on the Capitol, including killing police officers, and they shared the information, but nothing happened. The chief federal prosecutor in Washington stated he is pursuing conspiracy charges. The fact that IEDs were constructed in place informs me that there was pre-planning for ports.
You know what though? He's talking about they're talking about the FBI right now and the CIA, all of the boys. They're looking at conspiracy charges for some of these people, because they're saying that the cops and certain politicians might have helped plan in some of this. You're talking about people leaving pipe bombs at certain locations. You're talking about armed men who are moving in military patterns. Some of them were wearing full body armor, full battle rattle. I'm talking about they were looking like me downrange in freaking Afghanistan and damn Iraq. This was planned months ago. This was not a serious attack. This is only a dry run. They wanted to see what would happen. They wanted to show that a not so large group of people could in fact breach the Capitol. And you look at the fact that the U.S. is the third most populated country on planet Earth, with some of the largest land borders you've ever seen. I mean, pound for pound, our land borders between Canada and Mexico. If you look at the population of Canada and also the population of Mexico, you can't ban really a product here. That's why the drug war fails. So gun control ultimately fails because of the freaking land borders. You saw that doing Fast and Furious, in which we push guns, AR-15s and pistols and shotguns over to the freaking cartels, and you know that because some of the AR-15 frames were like skull pattern. You don't really find that in Mexico in some of the wording on it and some of the serial numbers that were etched out, that were attempted to be etched out. Some of them still were able to be read and were traced back to the U.S., which lets us know that there was some gun running there. And it came from our government, coming to find out. So with that being said, I mean, if you look at a lot of the planning, a lot of the actions that were taken, I mean, you had doors inside the Capitol that were open, that could only be open from the inside, that were open, as if they were open just to let people in. You had Capitol police officers directing people, Capitol police officers putting on MAGA hats and then start directing people to where to actually go. This was a military movement that was sloppily executed, but it was never. It was the intention was never success. The intention, right? The intention was a dry run. I know a dry run when I see one. I mean, we've done it many times in the military. Maybe not a lot of people who have kicked indoors. Maybe not a lot of people who have been downrange and actually been outside the freaking wire. But people like me, I know a dry run when I see it. Let's continue.
Of the tragic events last week. How does the president incite an attack that was pre-planned and already underway before his speech concluded? Now, I know my colleagues on the left want America to believe that the president incited a spontaneous riot that they'd like to call an insurrection. but the facts are stubborn things even if you choose to ignore them. The truth is the multiple lawless and violent events last summer, including months-long siege of a federal courthouse, burning, looting, physical violence, and so...
What does that have to do with the Capitol, though? What does that have to do with the Capitol? Those are two separate events. Two separate events. And I heard plenty of Democrats call out that violence. Plenty of them. What does that have to do with the events right now? Okay, so let's say that I say what happened over the summer was awful. It was the worst thing ever. Completely un-American, completely violent. How does that change what happens here? How does that change what happens here right now based on what happened a week ago? How does that change what happens here? See, that's my question, right? How is that relevant to what happened here? You know, you can't just keep bringing this kind of stuff up, right? And then be like, well, you know, how's it going, Cosmic? All right, I'm open up the Skype lines. If anybody wants to call in, the number to call in is 253-203-6784. Again, the number to call is 253-203-6784. If you want to call in to leave a comment about what you're seeing here on the screen. Personally, I mean, it's just a lot of bullshit. It's just a lot of the same old. I mean, it's just people just speaking gibberish because they know that other people are going to listen. And what the right is looking for right now, especially on the freaking pro-Trump side, is they're looking for an out. They're looking for an out. They're looking for a way to explain away what happened that lessens the blow for them, or to try to make something that the left did, or the so-called left did, equivalent, so that the right doesn't take so much criticism. No, you will take 100% of the fucking blame here. Stop looking to blame the left. The left had nothing to do with you breaching your side, breaching the goddamn Capitol. Stop trying to blame the left. I'm tired of that. Take some responsibility for your own rhetoric.
Called sanctuary cities where closely fits the definition of insurrection.
The gentleman's time has expired.
The president said last week.
The gentleman's time has expired. The gentleman from Ohio wishes to reserve. The gentleman from New York is recognized.
Madam Speaker, I yield 30 seconds to the distinguished gentleman from Virginia, Mr. Connolly.
The gentleman from Virginia is recognized for 30 seconds.
I thank my friend.
The American people are asking, is there any depravity too low? Is there any outrage too far? Is there any blood and violence too much to turn hearts and minds in this body?
Right. And that again, I think that when these people are saying, well, the violence in last summer, and the left and the right, and they did wrong and do that wrong, the American people right now, they're saying we're sick of this shit, and you're the ones that are instigating this. Every time that you don't pass a stimulus vote, you are making more people angry, and you're making them violent. Every time you pass a silly lockdown vote, every time the local, state, or your governor passes a silly lockdown, it causes more people to get angry, more people to lose their jobs, more people to lose their homes, more people to lose their livelihood, more people to lose their minds. And we have the highest firearm sales in American history, right, in the past year and into 2021. We have the highest during this past 13 months. We have not seen more gun sales. No point in American history in the past 13 months have we seen more gun sales. So right now, and mind you, all this gun control talk, there is no point in it. And do you want to know why? Because we share land borders with Canada and Mexico. If you look at the population sizes of Canada and Mexico, and how we cannot control those borders, and how the left spent the past 4 years saying, well, your wall's stupid because people are still going to get through. Well, you're right. People are still going to get through. And guess what? Firearm parts are small, and they are concealable, and they are easy to put into compartments, easy to put into jackets, easy to put into pockets. You know, the average AR-15 part, the AR-15 is so modular to the point where you can break it down into individual parts that are no bigger than this. You could put together an entire and even down to the barrel into the rails. There are barrels that you can disassemble and reassemble, so you can break it down into a bag that you can fit into a small grocery bag. AR-15 parts, and put together an entire AR-15 in something that you can hold into a grocery bag. I've done it before. I've done it before. So when you look at that and you look at how the government has been treating people overall, this man has a point. Is there no degree in which there is no point in which Congress and the Senate and our president is going to say enough's enough and just help the American people and open up these businesses that have been shut down? Because a lot of that's where a lot of this violence is coming from. People don't have jobs right now. So when people don't have jobs, they don't have a way to feed their families. Now, granted, there were some people out there who were not poor, but the vast majority of people out there, the people out there with no damn teeth, they don't have money, and so therefore they're going to act a fool because they have nothing to lose, nothing to lose. And so when you look at that, what this man just said was very, very important.
Instead of the usual justification, rationalization, and enabling and false equivalence we have to hear.
Exactly.
This is a moment of truth, my friends. Are you on the side of chaos and the mob, or on the side of constitutional democracy and our freedom? It's...
Thank you. False equivalences. He just said it. All the same nonsensical false equivalences. You know, the violence in last summer. Who gives a shit? It wasn't the Capitol. Do you understand, right, that we've always had violence and looting? And we've always had that? That is common. Happens throughout American history. I'm posting in the chat. Tell me what you think of the impeachment hearings so far. Do you know that we've always had that? But what we cannot have, right, is an angry mob trying to interrupt the leaders that we voted in. Now, I don't like these people. Don't get me wrong. But the reality is, this is unprecedented. It's not unprecedented to have, you know, a riot in a major city, especially when police keep shooting people. That is not unprecedented. In fact, Martin Luther King even spoke to riots. He said it was the language of the unheard when they were talking about, well, look at all these riots that's happening because of the civil rights era. MLK said the exact same thing. I understand riots are terrible, but I also must talk about the conditions in which people cause to feel riotous. And so people have actually tried to bring up the MLK quote, and if you do that shit, you're banned from the goddamn chat. Because that's fucking retarded. I'm going to say it's fucking stupid. If MLK were alive right now and to see people storming the Capitol versus the people who were on the streets during the summer, do you not think that MLK would judge both of them differently? He would both say, hey, you guys shouldn't brave violence. But that ultimately he would look at one side differently than he would look at the other. Can you not be a little bit honest and call it like you see it there? There is a fucking difference between what you saw in the summer and what you saw last week Wednesday. The motivations were different, okay? The motivations were different because I'm pretty sure when people saw the people on the streets during the summer, there was some degree of empathy. And that's what people felt. That's why the conversation changed across the country. That's why the conversation changed to police reform. That's why the view of the cops, the polling and the view of cops were at an all-time low. That's why even now Blue Lives Matter was attacking cops. You have MAGA Trump supporters who killed a cop, who caused a cop to commit suicide also. So there was 2 cops dead because of freaking MAGA. But over the summer, you condemned, my side because we just wanted cops to quit shooting people's dogs, shooting people's kids, shooting unarmed people, arresting mothers for having their children on the beach because of a stupid lockdown thing, arresting women for wearing a thong on a goddamn beach, shutting down businesses. That's what I was upset about. You were upset about because your fucking orange Cheeto Hitler Palpatine didn't win a damn election. There's a fundamental difference as to why there was anger on both sides. Let's be honest. Call a spade a spade.
It's that simple. That's what this vote for impeachment represents. I yield back.
The gentleman's time has expired. The gentleman from New York reserves. The gentleman from Ohio is recognized.
Madam Speaker, could I inquire how much time each side has?
Yes, you may. The gentleman from Ohio has 25 minutes remaining.
21.
The gentleman has 25.
25.
Minutes.
And I'm going to say something else. Notice how all of a sudden the freaking right, they're saying, well, not all the people there were violent. not all of them there were violent, guys. They were not all violent, right? Guys, they were not all violent. You can't say they were all violent, guys. And guys, come on, they weren't all violent. Oh, so now you all of a sudden understand goddamn, context and nuance. You subtly understand context and nuance. Now you understand, right, that not everybody who shows up to a fucking protest or a function is a violent person. Now you all of a sudden get that. And now you all of a sudden want me to feel empathy for your side when you spent how many fucking months over the summer? How much time over the years? Condemning everybody, blaming Black Lives Matter. As soon as Antifa shows up to a goddamn riot, and usually it's fucking Antifa. Let's be honest. It's usually it's fucking usually goddamn Antifa. You blame BLM for it. So now that your Cheeto Palpatine has incited a goddamn riot, you get no empathy from me. None. Oh my God, you get no empathy because you had no nuance, no desire for nuance over the summer. So guess what? I'm going to behave just like you. No nuance. Fuck it. You're all goddamn responsible. You don't like it, the next time BLM has a goddamn march and Antifa shows up, or some of the more violent elements within BLM shows up and they start bringing violence, maybe next time you will learn to distinguish between violent and non-violent protests, because the vast majority of protests out there during the summer were goddamn peaceful. Right? So now all of a sudden you get nuance. Interesting.
Remaining. The gentleman from New York has 31 1/4 remaining. The gentleman from Ohio.
We would reserve.
The gentleman from Ohio wishes to reserve. The gentleman from New York is recognized.
Madam Speaker, I yield 30 seconds to the gentleman from Colorado, Mr. Crow.
The gentleman from Colorado is recognized for 30 seconds.
Madam Speaker, last week I stood in that gallery to defend this chamber against a violent mob called here by Donald Trump. I have dedicated my life to the defense of our nation, and Donald Trump is a risk to all that I love. Some of my Republican colleagues are afraid of the consequences of an impeachment vote, but this Congress sends our young men and women to war every day. I'm not asking you to storm the beaches of Normandy, but only show a fraction of the courage we ask of our troops every day. Leadership is hard. It's time to impeach.
The gentleman's time has expired. The gentleman from New York continues to reserve. The gentleman from Ohio.
You know what?
Hebrews.
I like that. He's like, I'm not asking you to storm the beaches of Normandy. I'm just asking you for a damn vote. Can you at least do that? Oh my God. That my man, I like that. I like that line.
Ohio reserves. The gentleman from New York.
Madam Speaker, I yield 30 seconds to the distinguished gentleman from Illinois, Mr. Davis.
The gentleman from Illinois is recognized for 30 seconds.
Listen, we gotta do something about these geriatric goddamn Paul. Look at this motherfucker, man. Like, he's black, I'm black, but goddamn, man, why we gotta have so many old people in office? Look at this motherfucker. He looks like a darker version of Fred Sanford. Why are you here, sir? Are you a politician or are you Fred Sanford? Are you the blacker version of Fred Sanford? Why are you here, sir? Why are you not home quarantined because you are 100 years old and you are in the risk group for damn COVID-19? I am so sick of these old politicians. I think that there should be a cutoff. Once you hit age 70, you are no longer allowed to hold public office. One of the reasons why you have these people who don't give a damn about what happens to the younger people, because they ass old. Who cares about what happens to the country when you're going to be dead in like 5 years? And by the way, sir, please fix your damn tie. You have been tying that tie for the past, 100 goddamn years. There is no excuse for your tie to look that damn sloppy when you got 100 years of damn practice, okay? Old ass.
I heard a few minutes ago that there had been no hearing. Well, I have heard from the people of the 7th District of Illinois. They have...
This motherfucker can barely talk with that mask on because he's so damn old. I am so sick of these old politicians. I don't care if you're a Democrat or Republican. Get these old fucks out of office. Quit voting for them. vote for somebody younger within your age group. Therefore, when they say, I understand what you feel, guess what? They're in your age group. They probably understand that. But this motherfucker here, he probably has to have somebody chew up his damn food, because he probably doesn't even have any goddamn teeth, because he be using the same teeth for the past 2,000 damn years. This motherfucker was probably on the goddamn cross with Jesus. They probably gave his ass damn clemency for ratting out damn Jesus. He was probably one of the goddamn defendants in Jesus' goddamn case. This motherfucker is so goddamn old. I don't care if you are a Democrat, and by the way, he's actually a Democrat. I am so sick of these old politicians. Stop voting for these people. These people cannot possibly care about you or care about how you feel or your children, when this motherfucker can be somebody's great grandfather. He probably helped Moses part the goddamn Red Sea. Jesus. He probably founded goddamn Wakanda. Stop voting for this man.
Told me what to do. They have said, impeach this president. Impeach this president, and do it now. I will follow their instructions and vote yes to impeach this president.
Bro, it took him 10,000 years. I understand that I talked in between that, but even if you listen to him at regular speed without me talking, it took this man 10,000 years to say one sentence. You are too old, sir. Take your old ass home, drink some Metamucil, get a social security check, go to a damn nursing home. Get your old ass out of politics, your non-dress tie-tying ass. With that big ass suit. Look like damn a fucking old ass dark-skinned Steve Harvey. Take your ass home.
And I yield back.
The gentleman yields back. The gentleman from New York reserves. The gentleman from Ohio is recognized.
Yeah, we continue to reserve.
The gentleman from Ohio continues to reserve. The gentleman from New York is recognized.
Speaker, I now yield 30 seconds to the distinguished gentlelady from Texas, Ms. Escobar.
The gentlewoman from Texas is recognized for 30 seconds. Thank you, Madam.
How you doing, baby? She look a little bit younger though. She look good for a politician. She got a little bald spot coming up in her head though. I can tell she get a little old, but she a little bit. See people like this, a little bit younger, man. Can we get some younger people in there? You know, especially a little sexy little thing right here. Go on, girl. I like you. I think I would love to vote for your bill.
Speaker, on January 6th, terrorists attacked the United States of America.
Yep.
It was an attempted coup and an insurrection, but what I help Americans understand is that it was a...
Listen. When you get a young, sexy thing, slim and trim, and her name is Veronica, and she from Texas, so you know she can probably make a state, you marry her immediately. Veronica Escobar. She even got a sexy name, ain't it? I see that big old rock right there on your finger, though, girl. I was gonna call your office and say, "Is you single, baby? Call me up."
A terrorist attack against our country. Those who came and participated must be found and prosecuted. Those who aided and abetted must be found and prosecuted. And the man who incited it, President Donald J. Trump, our greatest national security threat, must be impeached, held accountable, and never be allowed to hold office again.
I agree. You must be never allowed to hold office again, Miss Sexy Veronica Escobar. I agree with her. Because again, like if they impeach him and they remove him from office, he can't hold federal office ever again. So I kind of get what she's saying. Is that we can't let this happen again. We can't let him go down. Because again, if this happened on a federal national level, what would happen if this man became the governor of Georgia? I mean, it would be, or South Carolina. It would be Pitchfork Tillman all over again. If you don't know who Pitchfork Tillman is, I would look him up. Because Donald Trump and Pitchfork Tillman have a lot of parallels, my friends. All right. So you know, they are trying to stop him, and again, they can't stop him on like a state level. He can still run for governor in states. He can still do that kind of stuff. But like, you know, he can't become like a senator or like a congressman. Can't run for like president again. You know, if they actually impeach and remove him. But what you do in the individual state, that's on them. But when you impeach and remove him, the likelihood of him becoming a governor in like another state is very, very low. So that's the point of what she's saying here. She's trying to make it, and other members of Congress is trying to make it so that Donald Trump can't run for federal office again. Because again, if you're a Democrat, why would you want him to run in 2024? So you can't really blame Democrats because they're doing it for two reasons. One, they're Democrats. So this is part of their freaking strategy. And if you could do it, you would do it too. Two, the man has shown to be dangerous. Sorry, let's just call a spade a spade. Let's continue.
Yield back. Gentlewoman yields back. The gentleman from New York reserves. The gentleman from Ohio
Yeah, Madam Speaker, we reserve.
reserves. The gentleman from New York is recognized.
Madam Speaker, I now yield 30 seconds to the distinguished gentlelady from California, Ms. Escher.
The gentlewoman from California is recognized.
Here comes Karen.
For
Karen
30
haircut.
seconds.
Madam Speaker, future generations are not going to know the names of each member in the chamber today. And
Once again, with that mask on and what she's wearing, and that clearly, like she clearly has that hair done because that head is freaking balding. Could you not imagine her as like a more sinister version of Hillary Clinton? Like imagine if there's like a zombie apocalypse, right? And then people were getting bitten, or like the zombie virus is like airborne, right? And then that's why everybody's wearing masks. If you look at her face, right, does she not look like she's fucking turning? This is basically what I'm talking about. These old fuckers who are in office, who we keep voting in, stop voting in these zombie-looking people. They're old. They're old and rich. They don't give a shit about you. You know the people who sit out on the front porch shouting, "Get off my lawn." You know, the boomers. Why do you keep voting for boomers but then make them boomer memes? It makes no sense. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Like the Michael Jordan meme, stop it. Get some help. Stop it. And the help that I want you to get is to vote different. Vote for somebody younger. I guarantee you, when you start voting younger, a lot of times you will find that those people are more connected to you. They actually understand technology. They understand the internet. They understand, you know, currently what it's like to have kids, because they probably have kids within the same age group as your kids. So understand, these people understand your struggle because they are living your struggle. What the fuck kind of struggle does Zombie Ann here understand? The goddamn Lich Lord. She's the goddamn Lich Lord from goddamn Warcraft. She looks like what fucking happens if someone's playing Magic the Gathering and taps 3 black mana and 1 white mana to bring out the Orzhov Ghost Council. Okay? Goddamn zombies. Look at her. Does she not look like she's turning? And the crazy part about it is that her eyebrows, her freaking eyebrows and eyelashes, all that shit got done. You can tell it got done. And she still looks old like a damn zombie. Them lines in her forehead, that shit look like TV scan lines. Why are we voting for people this old who look like Karens? Whenever a woman has a haircut like this, wears a attire like that, has nails like that, but also has those oversized fucking earrings, that's how you know she's a goddamn Karen. It's not just the haircut. It's the other attire. You know, them big ass earrings that make it look like she's like pretty much, if she would have leaned her head to the left or to the right way too fast, oh, that whole head getting a goddamn gangster lean. Seriously. Why are we voting people in who are this fucking old? Look at this bitch. She looks like a 28 days week later zombie.
and voting, but they will know what we did and why. We must impeach the president because he incited a mob that attacked the Capitol of the United States, the tabernacle of our democracy. He is incapable of honoring his oath and our Constitution, and he has proven to be unfit and dangerous.
No, you're dangerous. You're a goddamn zombie. If you bite somebody, you know, the country ends, okay? Get your walking dead ass out of here. Why do we keep voting in these damn zombie bitches? Pick somebody younger. You had Tulsi Gabbard, her fine ass. Tulsi Gabbard, her sexy ass. Tulsi Gabbard leaving politics because people don't want to give her a chance for goddamn president. Y'all pick Joe Biden. Y'all picking the oldest people possible. God damn. You are supposed to vote for Daryl Dixon, not the zombies. Vote for Rick Grimes, not the zombies. Vote for Negan, not the zombies. Vote for Michonne, not the zombies. Vote for The Walking Dead. Bring back Glenn. Use a scroll of reanimation, a scroll of freaking respawn, a scroll of summoning, and bring back Glenn before Negan beat his freaking brains out. This bitch is a goddamn zombie. Look at her face. She looks like somebody who's been bitten and basically who is going to turn, who is giving their last speech before they turn. And people, millions of people out there in freaking California voted for this person and have the nerve and the audacity to bitch about their high taxes and their shitty goddamn policies because you keep voting for The Walking Dead. That's why you end up with shitty ass politicians, because you won't stop voting for the goddamn Walking Dead.
I will vote to impeach this traitor to our country.
The gentlewoman yields back. The gentleman from New York reserves. The gentleman from Ohio reserves his time. The gentleman.
So I'm gonna go and share the stream again, because again I want to share the stream again, because I want everybody to see me roasting these goddamn politicians. I mean, everybody loving it. Everybody loving it. I'm gonna roast every politician. Share the stream if you want to see more of it, of me doing that. I'm gonna roast every goddamn politician I see, man. I fucking hate politicians. Listen, guys. That's one thing you gotta know about me. I don't like politicians. So if there's any chance of me to roast a politician, I'm gonna take it. I fucking hate politicians. I'm gonna roast the shit out of every politician that I see on the stream before me. Don't worry, I'm gonna roast their ass. I'm gonna dig in their ass until I can't dig in their ass no more. I'm so sick of these zombie World War Z looking politician bitches. I'm so sick of that shit. Alright, so I'll share the stream again. Alright, so let me get back to roasting these damn politicians. Let's get back to roasting these damn politicians, because that's what I want to. I want to get back to roasting politics. I enjoy doing this shit now. This is my shit.
The gentleman from New York is recognized.
Madam Speaker, now you're
her damn old ass. Did you see that bitch damn goddamn neck like a goddamn turkey? Oh, turkey ass.
30 seconds. Distinguished gentleman from New York, Mr. Espaillat.
The gentleman from New York is recognized for 30 seconds.
Listen, look at this old man here. Now, you know what? He's probably in his 40s and 50s, but, you know, I just don't understand, right? Why do we keep voting for Eric Kenstrada looking motherfuckers, right? Why do we keep voting for George Lopez looking motherfuckers? George Lopez is only good on stage for jokes, not for damn politicians. You all right? I mean, you know, right? You know a man is old when he's got on the suit. You got them little fucked up dots on the side of his face. No, you know when people have them little dots. I can't remember exactly what you got them calling. But basically, when the hair is stuck on slick back. You know, you remember that movie called Coming to America when they use that one product called Soul Glow? Just make your head like slick back. That's how you know you're dealing with an old man. I guarantee you, when he rides home, he doesn't listen to goddamn Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, none of that shit. YouTube, none of that shit. He listens to the radio station, and he only listens to the old music where like the old men sing over the freaking all track tunes about young women. You know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. Let's continue.
Madam Speaker, today I cast my vote for the second time to impeach Donald J. Trump. He is unfit to hold office.
Right.
His summons and dispatches.
I agree, George Lopez.
And hurt many of us. He is unfit to hold office. He summons and dispatches mob to assassinate Vice President Pence, to assassinate Speaker Pelosi. He is unfit to hold office. He summons and dispatched a mob that waved the racist Confederate flag and assaulted this Capitol, resulting in the death of 5 Americans, including 2 Capitol police officers.
Ooh, you know what? That man said you waving the Confederate flag in the state's cap. You know what? Inside, you know what? And he's right. There shouldn't be no BLM flag in there. There shouldn't be no Confederate flag in there. There shouldn't be no Blue Lives Matter, All Lives Matter, Antifa flag. It should be no flags in there but the American flag. And the fact that you brought a damn Confederate flag into the Capitol building offends me. It offends me. That is not my country's flag. Why the fuck was that ever in the goddamn Capitol? That offends me. No, the right needs to answer for that. That offends me. Why was that flag in my state capital? I was a soldier. I am a combat veteran. So understand, I feel a little differently about that than maybe some other people do. Why was that bullshit in my state's in my country's capital? That is not my country's flag. Get that filthy rag. That filthy rag that I should wipe my ass with. In fact, if I see another Confederate flag, I'm going to grab it, I'm going to wipe my ass with it. That's the amount of respect that flag deserves. That Confederate battle flag. By the way, it's a battle flag. You did battle, and you are 0-2, Confederates. Stop waging battle when you clearly suck at it. Clearly. Oh my God. You keep getting your ass cut, but you keep trying. Because you're fucking delusional.
He is our
The gentleman's time has expired. The gentleman's time has expired. The gentleman from New York reserves the balance of his time. The gentleman from Ohio is
Reserve.
The gentleman from Ohio continues to reserve. The gentleman from New York.
Go. Madam Speaker, I now yield 30 seconds, distinguished gentleman from Illinois, Mr. Garcia.
The gentleman from Illinois is recognized for 30 seconds.
Yo, homie, who dressed you, man? Homie, who dressed you? Who dressed you? That suit does not go together at all. Like, you got some kind of off-color salmon shirt with a crimson colored tie with a, I wouldn't even say it's a gray suit. It's more like a dark green mixed in with a dark. That is a bad cut. Listen, you make too much money. You make too much money to be dressed like this. You are dressing like you listen. We just saw George Lopez. You dressing like George Lopez when George Lopez was goddamn poor. Sir, you make too much money. You have too much privilege. At least show your privilege and dress nicer. Please. Show me that at least when you steal my tax dollars, you can at least have some sense of goddamn style. Because when you show up looking like this, I'm even more assaulted. Like, goddamn, if you're going to waste my money, at least buy something nice. Shit. Don't waste my money on goddamn junk. Over here looking like a goddamn 5th grade goddamn science teacher. What the fuck? You a goddamn politician. Act like one. Steal money. Buy better goddamn clothes.
Madam Speaker, I rise today in the strongest possible support for the impeachment of Donald J. Trump. When Trump made a last desperate attempt to steal the presidency, to reject the will of the people by encouraging insurrection, he became the first president to incite an attempted overthrow of the institutions he is sworn to protect.
He's right. I have never seen, because I was listening to the Trump speech and I was like, Trump, do you not realize what you're saying, man? Do you not realize how people are going to interpret this? How they're going to take this? How they're going to look at this, at what you're saying? Do you understand how people are going to look at this? Do you guys think these people honestly represent you? Are you tired of old politicians in office? Do you want younger politicians? Okay, let's continue.
That is a horrifying first, and his actions necessitate another. He should be the first president impeached and removed from office in the history of our country. I voted to impeach him once, and I'm ready to do it again. I yield back.
The gentleman's time has expired. The gentleman from New York reserves. The gentleman from Ohio.
One more, and then we'll go to you. Reserve.
The gentleman from Ohio continues to reserve. The gentleman from New York is recognized.
Madam Speaker, I now yield 30 seconds to the distinguished gentlelady from Texas, Ms. Garcia.
The gentlewoman from Texas is recognized for 30 seconds.
Madam Speaker, this president took an oath to protect and defend the Constitution. Instead, he has chosen to betray and attack our sacred democracy. This president violated his oath. He abused the power of his office, attempted to betray the will of the American people, and incited...
Did you listen to this? Yo. First of all, Peppermint Patty, listen to this woman's accent. Like, you can see the black woman. Like, listen, I paused it right here at this frame, right? Look at the black woman in the back, right? She's trying to hide. It is so good that she's wearing a damn mask, right? Because she's trying not to bust out laughing. That country accent is so ridiculous, bro. This shit is so ridiculous. She used to end her entire statement. Just end it with y'all. This is Representative America. All right, you got the nerve to have last name Garcia. Girl, you are not no damn Garcia. You might have one person who might have married into the family, or maybe somebody way back in the past they had a Garcia married into the family, but baby, you ain't no Garcia. Not with that accent, not looking like that. No, baby, you sound like you more from of German ancestry, with a little bit of backwoods, a little bit of Louisiana, a little bit of New Orleans, and a little bit of Texas. Y'all.
Insurrection against this very House. During the last impeachment trial, I reminded all Americans that democracy is a gift that each generation gives to the next. We must do all to protect it. For our children and our future, we must impeach him. Thank you.
Y'all.
The gentleman from New York reserves. The gentleman from Ohio is recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I yield 2 minutes to the gentleman from Florida, Mr. Stubbe.
The gentleman's yielding 2 minutes, is that correct?
2 minutes.
2 minutes to the gentleman from Florida.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. For 3 years, Democratic members of this body and the mainstream media lied to the American people that the Trump campaign colluded and conspired with Russia.
Listen, first of all, let me go ahead and give him some credit. You are well-dressed, sir. I appreciate a man who's well-dressed. Good job. You unlike the previous ones. You ain't looking like Pep. You ain't looking like Peppermint Patty. You ain't looking like the other ones. The other old ones. Again, even if I don't agree with this man, at least somebody younger. Jesus Christ, this man looks. Again, when you see somebody who looks like that, he exudes power. He exudes confidence. When you get some kind of old goddamn lich lord crypt keeper looking motherfucker, you like, well, goddamn, if I breathe on you too hard, you might fall over like the goddamn Three Little Pigs house. Shit. But once again, it's the whataboutism. It's to bringing up the other things again, because he's gonna blame the freaking left for everything. Notice how there's no responsibility given to the right. Knows that throughout his whole statement. I'm not going to interrupt him too much. I want you to hear this.
Years after an exhaustive investigation was found that there was no evidence that the Trump campaign colluded with Russia. Should Democratic members of this body resign for lying to the American people repeatedly and sowing division and dissension all across America? And it was all a lie. You have brought one article of impeachment to the floor, and your one allegation alleges, and I quote, Donald John Trump engaged in high crimes and misdemeanors by inciting violence against the government of the United States.
That's pretty obvious. But once again, I'm not gonna get on him too hard. I appreciate a politician who at least when he steals my money, he buys something nice, and he does look nice. You gotta give it to him. Oh my God, he looks nice. You know, at least when he steals my money, right? That's the one thing I can respect about a thief, right? If a thief at least tries to use the money in which they've stolen, I can forgive that to a certain extent. I don't like thievery, but if you just, let's say you go and you rob a convenience store for $20 goddamn. I hope you go to prison for the rest of your life. But if you go out there and you go for gold, man, you try to steal like the freaking heart of the ocean diamond from freaking Titanic. You go for gold. Yeah, granted, you're gonna spend the rest of your life in freaking prison, but I respect that. I respect the effort. And the one thing about this crook, because all politicians are crooks. All right, it just depends on what level of crook you're dealing with. At least with this crook, he's well dressed. At least my money is going towards some well-oiled clothing wardrobes. Because some of these other motherfuckers that we've seen, they look rough. Some of these other motherfuckers that we've seen, they look like they look rougher than goddamn sandpaper, baby. Let's continue.
In D.C., it's a crime to, quote, intentionally or recklessly act in such a manner to cause another person to be in reasonable fear and to incite or provoke violence when there's a likelihood that such violence will ensue. There was no language in the president's speech that incited or provoked violence. In fact, at around the 18-minute mark, he stated, and quote, peacefully and patriotically make your voices heard.
Yeah, but here's the other part you didn't mention. He also said in that speech, you got to show strength. He also said on Twitter that, hey, it's going to be wild. How's a peaceful protest wild? I mean, a Trump rally in front of the halls of Congress, and a Trump rally in front of the White House, or a Trump rally, you know, those are wild by themselves. Why would he need to say that? What is he signaling here? And why on that day? Why not on the 5th or the 4th? Would you send the exact same message, or do you want to, again, either way you look at it, right? To have that many people show up on the outside of the Capitol as the certification is going on, you're either intending to interrupt or intimidate. I mean, why not do it on the 5th or the 4th or the 3rd? Were those days not open? Was there some kind of permit that prevented that from happening? But you picked the 6th for a reason, right? Mr. Greg Steube. Greg Steube from Florida. The Florida man. At least he decided to waste my money in a very nice way. I do appreciate that, sir. You know, you are a very, very well-dressed thief, like most politicians.
I think that he's inciting violence because he believes there was election fraud. That's his opinion, and he's entitled to that opinion. Just like all of you were entitled to your false and fraudulent opinion that the Trump campaign colluded with Russia. The legal elements of incitement are based on the Supreme Court case Brandenburg v. Ohio, in which the Supreme Court set the standard for speech that could be prosecuted without violating the First Amendment. Brandenburg's speech called for violence against groups of Americans, and the court found that Brandenburg's comments were not directed to inciting or producing imminent lawless action. The court found that it was protected speech, and he was calling for violence. That's the current law of the land. The president didn't even mention violence last Wednesday, much less provoke or incite it. There was no...
Listen, you're saying that the president didn't mention violence. The president always mentioned violence. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? You talking about somebody who's in the WWE not speaking about violence? Maybe he doesn't directly say it, but indirectly he does. See, that's the game with these people, right? So the right has adopted this new tactic, and I saw it from the alt-right when I had my beef with them and when it was me and Kraut and several others. What they'll do is they'll pull some nonsense, right? Some clear bullshit, and then they'll quickly try to redefine it. And then as soon as when the bullshit blows up in their face, then what they'll do is they'll try to redefine what happened. Well, are you sure that I accuse you of doxing? Are you sure that it was me that caused you to catch so much, fall down from doxing? Or they will claim all kinds of things about you. right? Or they'll pull some bullshit. They'll pull some acts of violence. They'll dox somebody. They'll mass downvote videos. They'll get mass downvote bots, and then as soon as you catch them doing it, what they'll do typically is they'll do one of three things, and you'll find that these three things are very, very consistent. One is they will do the whataboutism. Well, yeah, I know that what I did is wrong. I understand that what we're talking about is, but first of all, what I did wasn't even wrong because the left did this. Let me go ahead and tell you something about whataboutism. Is not a way to diffuse criticism. You can't just say, well, you know, if someone walks into, you know, a house and see you killing their dog, you don't then get to say, well, in China they're murdering cats. Back last summer in China they were murdering cats. I know I'm murdering this freaking dog right now in front of you, but last summer they were murdering cats. You didn't say anything then. Because you're the one that I noticed. Do you see how that shit works? And on top of that, it'd be one thing if people like me have not repeatedly said rioting and tearing up people's businesses. In fact, I keep saying it every day. The fact that the government shut down so many people's businesses upsets me so much that I mention that shit every goddamn day. But yet, all of a sudden, you think that I want businesses to be burned down. That's fucking retarded. If anyone thinks like that, you're stupid, and I'm gonna treat you like, and I'm gonna treat you like you're stupid, because that would be completely inconsistent, and you know that. You know that. So that's the first thing. You know, the whataboutism, or two, they will attempt to redefine what it is that the people are doing. Well, is that really a riot? Were they really breaching the Capitol? I mean, is that really a crime? Yes, you dumb fucks, it's really a crime. It's not only a crime, it's a fucking felony. Now, you can't spend the entire summer talking about just obey my laws. And now all of a sudden you don't want to obey my laws, the highest laws in the goddamn lands. And the third thing that they love to do, this is the most annoying one. The most annoying one, right? The most annoying one. The no true Scotsman. If 100% of people out there were not MAGA, were not Stop the Steal people, were not QAnon, and apparently BLM shares some of the blame because one BLM guy showed up because fucking Andy No, this fucking stupid ass so-called journalist showed one guy from BLM, one known BLM guy, one, and now all of a sudden everybody's damn Antifa. Despite the fact that Jake Angeli was known as QAnon shaman, despite the fact that Adam Johnson was known to be a Trump supporter, known to be a Stop the Steal guy, despite the fact that you've caught West Virginia lawmakers, cops, you've caught you've actually caught members of the military. None of them are Antifa. The FBI, CIA, Department of Homeland Security, they've all said Antifa is not to blame for this. And yet you hear Antifa. Well, some of them could have been Antifa. How do you know? Well, one, they weren't wearing masks. And a lot of the people who weren't wearing masks, they have social media profiles that you can just go look at yourself. And a lot of those people who are actually out there, they have YouTube channels like Jake Angeli, and they showed up in interviews. That's how you know it's not fucking Antifa. So you've heard all this in that one speech from my well-dressed thief politician friend here from Florida.
No crime committed, and therefore no basis for impeachment, as you need a high crime or misdemeanor for a basis. You have created a mockery out of the impeachment process, and I urge all my colleagues to stand against it and fight the latest fraud being perpetrated against the American people by the radical.
See, the latest fraud. You see the messaging there? He's still running with this whole election fraud nonsense. You don't understand, Florida man. Our well-dressed thief here, Greg Stubbe. You don't understand that whenever you say stuff like that, whenever you tell people your vote didn't count, and you tell 75 million people that, you don't think to some extent, with you being a politician, you have you have a more responsibility to not continuously lie to people, because that creates problems. And that whenever politicians lie, it creates problems for the country. And right now, you are stoking the flames every time you claim that there was this massive fraud. And every court out there has pretty much given you the middle finger, even the freaking Supreme Court, not once but twice. Actually, I think more than twice now. You are generating violence by constantly telling people your votes were stolen. When you tell people your votes were stolen, your vote didn't count, that the election was stolen, I want you to understand, you're telling people that their constitutional right is being violated. And when people's constitutional rights are being violated, and you tell 75 billion people that in a very, very polarizing election, what do you think you're doing? Do you not think that by doing that, you are generating and even encouraging violence? Okay. If you don't think so, you are awfully stupid and awfully slow.
Go left.
The gentleman,
Nice job.
The gentleman from Ohio wishes to reserve.
Yes.
The gentleman from New York is recognized.
Madam Speaker, I now yield 30 seconds to the distinguished gentleman from Nevada, Mr. Hertzford.
The gentleman from Nevada is recognized for 30 seconds.
Madam Speaker, I rise and...
You know what? I don't have much to say about him. He's well dressed, well groomed, even sounds good, even the mask nice. Let's just hear what he has to say.
Support of the article of impeachment. Last Wednesday's events were not just a breach of a building, but a breach of our democracy, a threat to our republic and to who we are as Americans. Donald Trump incited insurrection against America and attempted to overturn the will of the people. We must send a clear message that committing sedition disqualifies a president from serving another day in office. I urge this body to vote for impeachment. I will. And I yield back.
Bad brother, you know what? Short, sweet, well dressed. I like that.
New York reserves. The gentleman from Ohio is recognized.
Madam Speaker, we reserve.
The gentleman from Ohio continues to reserve.
Madam Speaker, I now yield 30 seconds to the distinguished gentlelady from Pennsylvania, Ms. Houlihan.
The gentlewoman from Pennsylvania is recognized for 30 seconds.
Madam Speaker, last evening an 11-year-old girl.
Yeah, all right. What the hell is that? What in the hell is that? She looks like an older version of Tilda, a freaking Tilda Swinton. You know the chick from goddamn from Constantine, the really skinny chick with the really strange hair. Freaking Tilda goddamn Swinton. She looks like Tilda Swinton. When did we put Tilda Swinton in the goddamn Congress? Let's continue.
Joined our telephone town hall. Her question shook me to my core. She was worried about the future.
God damn, girl, you have the biggest glasses I have ever seen in my life. Them ain't goddamn glasses, them goddamn windshields. Yo, she don't even need a goddamn mask, yo. Her frames cover her mouth and nose, yo.
Of this great nation, and I am too. That is why I must move forward with impeachment of this president. He has endangered this nation. He has betrayed his oath. I do this now for all of us, for our Constitution, and for this republic. I do this to tell the world that this great democracy will stand, and no one is above the law.
It's up for your glasses.
And I do this for our future generations. I urge us all.
Yeah, trust me. She knows about future generations. Them glasses are goddamn big. That bitch can see in the goddamn future.
All to unite and to vote yes on impeachment. I yield back. The gentleman.
God damn, boy. I know she made that statement with damn clarity because she can't help but see with nothing but damn clarity with glasses that goddamn big. God damn. She has to have a goddamn migraine. Ain't no way in hell she doesn't. How in the world is... God.
The woman yields back. The gentleman from New York reserves. The gentleman from Ohio is recognized.
Madam Speaker, we reserve.
The The gentleman from Ohio reserves. The gentleman from New York is recognized.
Madam Speaker, I now yield 30 seconds to the distinguished gentleman from California, Mr. Huffman.
The gentleman from California is recognized for 30 seconds.
Madam Speaker, history is watching and saving the receipts.
Sir, you look like a giant picnic table. You look like a country picnic table. Listen, men, let me explain something to you. Gray on white, there's some weird color that pops. That don't work, man. This man stole my money, stole all your tax money, and spent it on his wardrobe. At least dress better, sir. At least be a better thief. God. And then look at this motherfucker. Look at your top right corner, right? Look at this old motherfucker here with this goddamn beard. You know a motherfucker's fat, right? When he's so fat that when he damn sit down, one side of his tie is on one side, and the other side of his tie is on like the other side. That's how you know a motherfucker's fat, boy. Look at these fat old motherfuckers. Why do we keep voting in? Listen. When a man's hair is so gray, he could be Dante from Devil May Cry. Okay? When a man has that kind of salt and pepper, it's time to stop voting for him. Pick somebody younger. This motherfucker looked like a goddamn snaky ass goddamn used car sale. Look at him. Look at that picture, right? Imagine him without the mask. Knowing that he's a politician, would you trust a damn thing that he has to goddamn say? Really?
Today, my colleagues across the aisle must choose which side of a very bright line they want to be recorded on for all time. On one side, lies, sedition, inciting and supporting insurrection, and domestic terror.
We know that this was pre-planned, and it started while the president was speaking. Why is that not in the articles of impeachment? Why is that not being incorporated into my colleague's remarks? To complete the record, if you want to make the president the first president to be impeached twice, well, we'll add something else to that. Thank you to the president for his efforts to defeat MS-13 in my district, or to withdraw from the...
Okay. Thank you to the president for trying to defeat MSN. Wait a minute. Hold up. Hey. MS-13 been around for a long time, my friend. You know that, right? Who used to be the mayor of New York City? Oh, Rudy Giuliani. You mean tell me you couldn't make sure that MSNT, that the MS-13 goes away and stays gone? He didn't defeat him the first time? They just came back? Interesting. So, MS-13 has also been found in Texas and Georgia and all over the country. Are you now saying that Republicans don't particularly care, or are you conceding that MS-13 is not exactly a problem that can be solved? Because if it could be solved, then Rudy Giuliani would have stopped them the first time, right? No. So now you're telling me that President Trump is the one who defeated MS-13 in your district. It sounds like you're not giving enough credit to the law enforcement officers who actually made that happen. It wasn't President Trump. It was law enforcement. And it doesn't really matter what happens on the federal level. It comes down to what happens on the state level, right? So aren't you not giving enough credit to Cuomo? Trust me, I understand you don't want to give credit to Cuomo. I have a hard time doing that myself. Trust me. But if we're just keeping it a buck here and keeping calling a spade, then let's be honest here, right?
Request 30 more seconds.
The gentleman yields an additional 30 seconds. Did I hear correct?
Yes.
The gentleman has another 30 seconds.
Thank you to the president for his efforts to move the embassy in Israel to Jerusalem and recognize Israeli sovereignty over the Golan Heights, and to take out Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi and Qassam.
Who cares? I don't care about Israel. Not my country. Don't give a shit about what happens to Israel. I said it. Clip it. Fuck Israel. People are starving right here in my country. I don't give a shit about what happens in any other country right now but America. Don't care. Not my problem. But President Trump moved the embassy to. Who gives a shit? What does that have to do with the relief efforts for COVID-19? What does that have to do with mending the wounds in this country? And what does that have to do with the mob storming the goddamn Capitol? They ain't got shit to do with anything. Who cares about what happens in other countries? Who cares? Who gives a shit? See, that's your goddamn problem now, right? You give them more of a shit about other countries than your own people. Because last time I checked, you're a Republican from New York, right? New York's taxes are pretty goddamn high. Looks to me like a lot of policies are fucked up now. You can blame Cuomo all you want to, but Giuliani was there at one point too, and them taxes were still goddamn high. Excuse me. Excuse me. Squeezy. So, you know, you can talk a big game. You can mention other countries, but I don't give a shit about what happens to Israel or other countries or all the so-called Islamic terrorists. Because again, it comes down to what the government calls a radical Islamic a radical Islamic terrorist. Because how do you know these people are goddamn terrorists? Have you actually checked on this shit? They also told you Jeffrey Epstein killed himself. Do you fucking believe that shit? These people haven't even had a goddamn trial, and he's sitting there praising this shit. Drone striking, starting this endless these fucking endless regime change wars that got my friends killed, got me shot at. Are you praising this shit? No, it's not just President Trump and all the goddamn MAGA terrorists who are goddamn traitors. You are too, sir. You should be out of office, you piece of garbage.
From Soleimani to eliminate the ISIS caliphate, to enter into the historic Abraham Accords, to have an economy this time last year that was strong.
Listen, I don't give a damn about what happens to Baghdad or Soleimani or freaking Israel. That is none of my problems. Well, last year the economy was doing well, right now it's not. I don't give a damn about what you supposedly done for me. What have you done for me lately? Who gives a shit about what happens in the freaking Middle East? Who gives a shit about what happens in goddamn Israel? Who gives a shit about what you did last year? That ain't right fucking now. Who gives a shit? See, that's the whole difference between the Republican Party. They love to be stuck in the goddamn past. Well, see, back in the 50s, how things are we were fucking shit on in the 50s. That's why we don't give a shit about what you say about the goddamn 50s. Shut the fuck up about the goddamn 50s. It sucked for us. Yes, the fuck it did. Don't even fix your mouth to say otherwise. Oh, well, back last year, things are going. This ain't last year. This ain't 2019. We had the greatest economy. That ain't right now. Who gives a shit about 2019? Or even early 2020. Who gives a shit? Who gives a shit? That ain't right now. People can't go back to 2019 and grab a sandwich from 2019 with the freaking reality infinity stone from goddamn Avengers, all right? We don't have those fucking powers yet, okay? So what happened in 2019 doesn't fucking matter, does it? What happens in other countries don't fucking matter right now, does it? I don't give a shit about what happens in other countries. I don't give a shit about what happened in the past. What's going on right now, asshole?
Longer than I ever remember in my entire lifetime. Yeah, we'll complete the record. And in all fairness, as the president leaves 1 week from today, let's be honest about the double standards that exist inside of this chamber. And let's also be honest that this president did a lot to make America greater than ever. Expired.
And guess what? He just caused the invasion of the goddamn Capitol. He's done a lot. He's done a lot. Yeah, Harvey Weinstein has made a lot of great movies. Donated a lot of money to charity. Hitler loved dogs. He was an animal guy. In fact, so was Stalin. Stalin was pretty, in fact, Stalin believed in some degree in environmentalism. They all done great things. All of them done great things. I mean, if it just wasn't for the crazy shit, they'd be great people. That's your argument. That's basically your freaking argument. Man, Jeffrey Dahmer, man. I tell you. Jeffrey Dahmer was a great textualist, great speaker, very articulate. If you would just ignore the cannibalism, great guy. You see what's happening here? See how fucking retarded that is? You know? Man, Genghis Khan, man, he was a great military leader. If it just wasn't for all that rape. Man, I tell you, Vlad Dracula, man, that guy really knows magic. If he just didn't drink my blood. You bringing up something that someone's done compared to what they're doing currently. It's not just a whataboutism. It's just you're trying to rewrite history, and the problem with that is the Republican Party is so old and so out of touch to the point where they don't realize the internet is a fucking thing. See, Donald Trump introduced the Republican Party to the internet because the Democrats have been killing them and organizing on the internet until Donald Trump came along, and that all changed. Now that Donald Trump is being slowly removed from the picture, you're still seeing the remnants of them repeating the same lines that are wearing off, because the more you repeat a line, right, you can repeat a line over and over and over again, and it can have one of three effects on the internet. A lot of people could actually believe it, for one, or two, people could just disregard it, or three, people could hear that line so many times and then start to question it. Because when you repeat a line, it depends on how you're on how you're repeating it and who is actually coming from. So when you have old Republicans who are clearly corrupt, a New York politician probably corrupt. Let's be honest. Same thing if it's coming out of freaking Chicago or Los Angeles, probably corrupt. Doesn't matter if it's Democrat or damn Republican, probably corrupt. Let's just call a spade, probably corrupt. Big cities, you do not become a politician in a freaking big city like that without being a little bit corrupt. Okay, it's a little bit corrupt. Right? So these people, they have a way of talking to you. Trying to do the whataboutisms. Trying to lie to you. And that's all you've seen out of the Republican Party so far.
The gentleman from Ohio wishes to reserve.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The gentleman from New York is recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I now yield 1 minute to the distinguished I now yield 30 seconds to the distinguished gentleman from Illinois, Mr. Caston.
What happens
The gentleman's recognized for 30 seconds.
What happens if we get this wrong is written in Lincoln's second inaugural, when one party would make war rather than let the nation survive. On December 7th, on September 11th, we came together against an enemy from without, but on January 6th, we were attacked by an enemy from within, the president who would make war with malice for all and charity for none. We must come together in unity today against that domestic threat to our Constitution. The alternative is too unbearable to contemplate. We must impeach, bipartisanly, unanimously, if you have the soul.
The gentleman from New York wishes to reserve. The gentleman from Ohio is recognized.
I agree wholeheartedly.
The gentleman from Ohio reserves. The gentleman from New York.
Madam Speaker, I now yield 30 seconds to the distinguished gentlelady from Texas, Ms. Fletcher.
The gentlewoman from Texas is recognized for 30 seconds.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise today in support of the article of impeachment and in opposition to the gaslighting that is masquerading as debate in this chamber today. I was in this chamber when the president assembled and unleashed.
You know, you see what I mean? She looks a little bit younger. Hair looks nice. She's dressed nice. She looks like a white Wakandan. She's dressed nice. But you see how she immediately came in, and she came in with the swinging. I like that. I like a fight. Again, I would vote for her as a woman because I like that in a freaking woman. I like that fight. I don't like weak women. I like a woman who can speak up for herself. And you know what? You know is that she is not a weak woman. Now, I've already heard her speak before, but I want you to hear this.
a mob to attack the United States Capitol and the United States Congress, the elected representatives of the people. By doing so, he incited an insurrection against our representative democracy itself. If
Lizzie
that is
going
not an
in.
impeachable offense, then what is? Thank you, Madam Speaker. I yield back.
The gentlewoman yields back.
You know what? You see, it was short and sweet, and Lizzie Fletcher, go on, girl. Go on, girl. See, that's how, you know, a lot of times when you get, and don't take this as sexist, a lot of times you get women in, you know, into certain offices, and they want, unfortunately, some of them, not all of them, not the vast majority, but some of them want these kind of kid gloves. You know, I'm just a little girl, so don't be mean to me. And a lot of women do a lot, and a lot of women do that. But I follow Lizzie Fletcher. She's not that type. Oh no, if you want to debate, if you want to go, she'll go. Oh baby, oh my God, Lizzie Fletcher from Texas. Yeah. Listen, you don't want to get no showdown with nobody from freaking Texas, especially when they got like a mouth on them. They got the freaking 6-shooters with the freaking tongue. Oh yeah, baby, you don't want to get into a battle with freaking her. And she kept that short and sweet, and I like that. I like it when they keep it short and sweet and they cut the bullshit and they just kind of say what they really feel.
The gentleman from New York reserves. The gentleman from Ohio is recognized.
Madam Speaker, we reserve.
Gentleman from Ohio wishes to reserve. The gentleman from New York is recognized.
I now yield 30 seconds. Distinguished gentlelady from Michigan, Ms. Clegg.
The gentlewoman from Michigan is recognized for 30 seconds.
Thank you, Madam Chair. In Michigan's 13th, we proudly speak truth to power, even in the face of a racist in chief.
Ooh! And she came out with the Wakanda rope. Yo, she ain't even black, and she came in with the Wakanda rope. She said, you can't even protect your own father, Republican Party. Republican Party. Donald Trump is your daddy. He's your father. She is acting as M'Baku right now. She's coming out in your face. You are T'Challa right now from the Black Panther. She's coming out right now saying you cannot even protect your own father. We're gonna impeach him. We're gonna impeach him. You can't even protect your own father. She is M'Baku right now from the Black Panther.
Those who incited an attack on the People's House do not get to talk about healing and unity. They have torn this country apart. They have stoked the fire and then handed the gasoline to Donald Trump. Dr. King once said, true peace is not merely the absence of tension. It is in the presence of justice. Today,
you know, Republicans try to bring up Dr. King. It's some bullshit. And she actually quoted the man. That is an actual quote. She's absolutely 100%. That is an actual quote. God damn. Get him, sister.
we must embody those words. And we must understand that peace must be centered in truth and action. We cannot sit, Madam Chair, and idly by after a violent attempted coup and allow lies and hate to continue. Today, we stand up for our constituents who continue to...
God damn, she got some big ass hands. Yo, like, yo, she got some catcher's mitts, bro. God damn. Yo, yo, why is her hand so big? You are a woman, lady. Why your hand so big, baby? You know what? I'm not even mad at you. She might can give you a hell of a damn hand job, but god damn. Yo, this chick got freaking Hulk hands.
To be harmed by the
wishes to reserve. The gentlewoman. Today's time has expired.
Donald Trump.
The gentlewoman's time has expired. The gentleman from New York wishes to reserve.
You call her a gentlewoman? That is a gentleman. Yo, she got some hands on her. Yo, if she throw hands with you, man, she might move your whole world.
And the gentleman from New York has 3 3/4 minutes remaining. From Ohio has...
Did you see that?
4. And the gentleman from Ohio is recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I yield 1 minute to the gentleman from North Dakota, Mr. Armstrong.
The gentleman from North Dakota is recognized for 1 minute.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. What happened last Wednesday is an absolute tragedy. And not only are we part of dealing with it now, we were part of it then. But when emotions are frayed...
See, when someone starts off like that, right? Depending on, I'm gonna teach you something about interrogation. I used to interrogate people, right? And I understand something about psychology. When someone starts off a statement like that, they say, "Oh, well, this was bad. It's horrible." All right. Depending on their tone, right? If someone comes up to you and says, "This is bullshit. This is bad," they fully believe that whatever that they are talking about is fully bullshit, is wrong, and it's bad. But when you approach it like he did, I believe that what happened was wrong, and it's wrong. And as soon at that point, I'm gonna repeat that one more time so that you guys can hear that, so that you can understand the reason why I react to people the way that I react, because I stop them before they go into bullshit based on the inflection. Now watch this. If I were to say, well, what happened was bad, at that point right there, that allows me to say but, or however, or here's another way to think about it. That's when right at that point is right when I will stop somebody and says, don't even give me the bullshit, because I know you're about to say a freaking but or a whataboutism, and that is precisely what he's gonna go on and do. He's gonna blame the left, and he's gonna try to he's gonna basically try to shrug off responsibility. Watch what he does.
And tensions are this high. Process matters more. It matters more now than it did before. And the reality is this. There are serious constitutional questions about these articles. And Donald Trump is going to be president until January 20th. And on January 20th, Joe Biden's going to become president. But I'll end with this. I'm going to vote against impeachment. And that's going to give me credibility at home with my base.
See, he just said it. That's going to give me credibility at home with my base. Representative Kelly Armstrong, Republican from North Dakota. That's going to give me credibility with my base. He again, everything else he says beyond this point is bullshit. Everything else he says beyond this point is bullshit. He just said it. He just said it. Everything that I'm doing here is going to give me credibility with my base. That's the reason why he's doing it. That's why he's going against the articles of freaking impeachment. That's why. That's the only reason why. He just said it. He just said it. He doesn't care about the speaking vote. He doesn't care about what happens with the whole freaking election. He cares about power. And even, he didn't even think his statement through. Everyone else had something like written down. You could tell that he's just spitballing the same repeated phrases, the same bullshit. Same thing that he probably went on some YouTube channel, Sticks, Texas Hammer, Tim Pool, or Brandon freaking Tatum, or just basically heard some of his colleagues speak about it, or he read it from freaking Newsmax or some pundit on freaking Fox News, or heard it from like Tucker freaking Carlson, or doesn't really matter. He's heard it from somebody, and he's basically repeating the exact same lines because they are easy to repeat lines, easy to freaking remember, and they're easy to spew out in front of a big crowd. That's what he's doing here. He just told you the reason why he's going against the vote against the vote to impeach, because it gives him credibility with his base back at home. He just said it in his own words.
You're going to vote for impeachment, and that's going to give you credibility at home with your base. It's easy to point at me and blame me. It's easy for me to point at you and blame you.
Right.
But on January 21st, we're all going to be back here. So use that credibility. Go back and talk some hard truths to your people.
Hard truths to your people. Okay. And the hard truths here is Congress has only given people $1,800 total so far. Congress has not saved small business, but have saved big business. Those are the hard truths. That the president incited a goddamn riot. That your party is dead. Because once MAGA's done, you're dead. You're done. Most of you who are in office right now are probably going to be out. Mitch McConnell might get voted out. Lindsey Graham is definitely done. Oh, baby. Oh, my God. He's done. Oh, my God. Lindsey Graham, next time around, Jamie Harrison, run again. You'll win. Guarantee you. If you pull back the same fundraising efforts that you pulled last time, you'll win this time, baby. Oh, yes, you will. Oh, yes, you will. Oh, yes, you will. Yes, you will, baby. And then, you know, you look at these people, top to bottom. Look at these people. Look at these people. He's telling you the game. He's showing you the game. He says, well, I'm going to vote against impeachment because it's going to give me credibility back at home. You're going to vote for impeachment because it's going to give you credibility back at home. What the fuck does that matter? Is it right or wrong? That's the point. It doesn't matter if it gives you credibility back at home or not. If, let's say that you represent a state filled with freaking pedophiles, do you now vote for damn do you now vote for damn freaking pedophilia because you have some people in your state who like it? Let's say that you represent the freaking Death Star. Do you now vote for the interests of the freaking galactic empire because some people at home might want that? No, you think about the good of the goddamn nation. You vote your conscience. You vote what's right or wrong based on law, based on precedent, not based on, is this going to make me look bad back at home? This piece of shit is telling you the goddamn game. And yet I guarantee you, even after hearing his bullshit, you will still vote for him. Because Americans just don't learn.
We're going to do it, and we need to do a better job. And with that, I yield back.
Gentleman yields back. The gentleman from New York reserves. Excuse me, the gentleman from Ohio reserves. The gentleman from New York.
Madam Speaker, I now yield 30 seconds to the gentlelady from North Carolina, Ms. Manning.
The gentlewoman from North Carolina is recognized for 30 seconds.
Madam Speaker, this president has repeatedly lied.
First of all, you ain't no young woman. Alright. Whenever you get an old woman wearing some old wool flannel fucked up ass goddamn jacket with some pearls on and all kind of jewelry, and she got that kind of fucked up Karen goddamn haircut which she trying to cover up goddamn bald spots, you ain't no young lady, baby. You have hit that wall. You have hit that wall kind of like the crash dummies do doing the freaking crash test, baby. You've hit the wall, baby. Stop it. Get some help. It's time to stop. It's time to give it up, baby. You ain't young no more. You hit the wall. It's very difficult to move on from that, but I guarantee you. Listen. 60 is the new 40. Okay? There's hope for you, baby. You can still go on OnlyFans right now and make you a buck. You know? I will throw you a tip for your freaking live show, baby. But you ain't young no more. Most of you in freaking politics right now are not young. Most of you are damn crypt keepers. Most of you are damn zombies. Most of you are living dead girls, kind of like the Rob Zombie song, okay? Seriously, most of you are fucking walking dead. So, this whole idea of I'm going to call you a young lady to kind of flatter you. Girl, stop. Let's skip forward here.
The last 4 years, Madam Speaker, we cannot turn back the clock. But
look at this old Bob Barker looking motherfucker right here. Why do we keep electing these old fucks to office? Look at this man. God.
But we can look to the ideals
this shit is frustrating
from great presidents like Washington, like Jefferson, and yes, certainly like Abraham Lincoln and Franklin Roosevelt, and from outstanding Americans like Frederick Douglass, Harriet Tubman, Susan Anthony, Cesar Chavez, Martin Luther King, Thurgood Marshall, our beloved John Lewis, and yes, RBG, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who taught us a lot about equality and inclusion. It's up to us to restore the vibrancy, Madam Speaker, of our democracy by reaffirming our commitment to the norms they passed on to us and entrusted to our care. But to make that possible, Madam Speaker, we must rise to this moment. and not only affirm the virtues we cherish, but reject the vices we abhor. That's what I'm asking my fellow representatives on both sides of the aisle to do today. We all stood and we abhorred the violence that occurred and the threat to the very democracy that we hold so dear and swore an oath to protect and uphold. Reject deceit. Reject fear-mongering.
Reject old-ass politicians, old Bob Barker-looking motherfuckers. Reject them too. Please. Elect younger people. You cannot expect for these old fuckers who don't look nothing like you, who is not even in your same age group, who honestly, if they were a regular person with regular health care, they'd probably be dead already. But you think this motherfucker here, this old Bob Barker looking fuck here, cares about you? Not even in your same age group, nowhere near your damn age group. This motherfucker is older than this mofo is older than your damn grandpa, and your grandpa dead. He been dead for damn years. Shit. You think this man cares about you and your babies and your job and your business? You better than me.
Reject sedition, tyranny, and insurrection. Reject the demand for fealty to one man over fidelity to one's country. When I addressed the House during the debate over the articles of impeachment in December 2019, I said the following: we need not ask who will be the first to show our courage by standing up to President Trump. The question we must ask, who will be the last to find it? Senator McConnell, Representative Cheney.
Listen, I can't get over how old this man is. You know, and again, he's talking about change, represent change. You are the physical embodiment of why we need change. Get your old ass out of politics, man. You got these old people who will sit in positions for years and years and years and years and years and never give a younger person a chance. So that's why you never see any change, and this is why you never see any upward movement in the military, in companies, in politics, because you got these old fucks who just won't retire and get the fuck out of the goddamn way to let younger trees grow. You got these old roots who just overshadow young roots. And they won't let the younger roots grow because they just sit in these damn positions forever and ever and ever. Get your old Bob Barker ass out of politics. Damn. Stop electing geriatric fucks, man.
A number of other representatives who have spoken on this floor with great courage, Madam Speaker. Because there is much fear of Donald Trump. There's much fear of Donald Trump's tweets. There's much fear of Donald Trump's retribution for opposition. In my view, Donald Trump demands absolute loyalty and gives none in return. I hope others will join Liz Cheney. I hope others will be honest with themselves and with their constituents. As Liz Cheney was saying, there has never been a greater portrayal by a president of the United States of his office and his oath to the Constitution. Don't dismiss that. She's the daughter of a vice president of the United States who was the whip when I came to Congress. As she has taken a stand, I hope others will as well, Madam Speaker. Soon, the clerk will call the roll and ask for our votes. Make no mistake, this will be no ordinary roll call. This is about our country, our Constitution, and our democracy. These votes will be inscribed on the roll of history, a record of courage and of our commitment to country and Constitution, of our commitment to the rule of law and renewal of that which we inherited and hope to pass on, unbroken, unshattered. With just 7 days left in the president's term, this vote is not about timing. It is about principle and fidelity to our Constitution. It concerns the clear and present danger facing our country, not only in these final days of the Trump administration, but in the weeks, months, and years that will follow. It is about the necessity to demonstrate to this generation and to future generations the duty we share to protect our democracy every single day. Do not pretend, my friends, that it was simply those who came into the Capitol, encouraged by our president to stop the steal at any cost. And by the way, if the vice president doesn't do my bidding and follows the Constitution, sweep him away. We know that this president would never emulate George Washington and give up his power for the good of our republic, even after losing an election. Somebody talked about a peaceful transition. There has not been a peaceful transition. I don't know what you're talking about. You're not living in the same country I am. It was just days ago that the president, after committing this terrible act, thought he had to admit that Joe Biden might, yes, be president of the United States. We know that this president neither recognizes norms nor reflects the rule of law. We know that this president is not a patriot. So I ask this House, who among us, Madam Speaker, will be recorded on the roll of history for their courage, their commitment, the Constitution, and their country? We do this today not for politics. We don't need this for politics. Georgia showed that. There was no mistake in this election. We do this today to preserve and protect this great democracy. We do it for the America we love, our America the beautiful, whose founders' sacrifices we praise in song. Oh, beautiful for heroes proved in liberating strife, who more than self their country loved, and mercy more than life. Sadly, Madam Speaker, as our current president, the appropriate words would be, who less than self his country loved, and victory more than truth. Vote for this, for America, for our Constitution, for democracy, for history. I yield back the balance of my time.
All time for debate has expired. Pursuant to House Resolution 41, the previous question is ordered on the resolution. The question is on adoption of the resolution. Those in favor say aye. Those opposed say no. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it. Ohio is recognized. Reason?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. We'd ask for a roll call vote.
Pursuant to Section 3S of House Resolution 8, the yeas and nays are ordered. Members will record their votes by an electronic device.
Well, you heard the voice vote there a moment ago on the resolution, but now we'll go to the roll call here, and it will take a considerable amount of time. But Steny Hoyer, the House Majority, the final arguments for the Democrats-led push to impeach Donald Trump on the single article incitement of insurrection. This follows more than 2 hours of debate, Republicans and Democrats taking turns to frame their positions. Not a lot of defense on the Republican side for the president's actions by themselves, but plenty of charges of hypocrisy on the point of Democrats. I want to bring in right now Savannah Guthrie, who's co-anchoring our coverage with me. Savannah, it's a foregone conclusion that Democrats have the votes to pass this, but notably they will have some Republican support.
Yes, this will be the second impeachment vote against President Donald Trump, but the first bipartisan one. And we just learned of a 7th Republican who has crossed the aisle to say that he will vote yes in favor of impeachment. And we'll know more as this roll call vote unfolds. It's happening over the course of the next few minutes here. I want to bring in Chuck Todd. Chuck, keep your ear out because we're watching what's happening on the House floor right now.
Right.
As we understand it, this roll call vote will take a few moments, and then we'll have a sense of how many Republicans have broken ranks. But the one that sort of broke the dam is Liz Cheney, the number 3 Republican in the House, obviously from a Republican dynasty family. Her father was vice president. How important was that decision in terms of bringing more Republicans on board?
Well, I think between her and Mitch McConnell's comments, where he let it be known that he's open to a conviction in the Senate, I think it sent a signal that essentially, certainly from the establishment wing of the party, where they stand on this. And in fact, that was my chief observation on this debate over the last 3 hours. It was not what was said, it was who was doing the speaking. Here's all you need to know. The leadership of the Republican Party in the House is made up not only of those 3 leaders that we hear a lot about, McCarthy, Scalise, and Liz Cheney, but you also have the ranking members, the people that would be committee chairs if they were in power. Those are also leadership positions. Just one ranking committee member spoke today, and that's Jim Jordan. 15 others did not speak at all. Meanwhile, 16 Freedom Caucus members, the most devoted group of House Republicans to Donald Trump, did. The fact is, that's the unknown that I'm watching for here. I wouldn't be, those are the folks that would follow Liz Cheney, would be these folks here. In fact, one of these ranking members, John Katkow, is already on the record for impeachment. And one other point here, to just show you how unprecedented this is, there are already more members of the president's own party voting to impeach him than did Bill Clinton or Andrew Johnson. Savannah.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, the folks speaking today, largely the true believers, Trump's most ardent supporters in the Congress. We want to go to Casey Hunt now, who's on the Hill for us. It was interesting to hear Kevin McCarthy, who is the the Republican leader in the House, and he seemed to try to walk a very fine line, didn't he?
He did, Savannah, and I think it reflects exactly what you were just talking about with Chuck, which is the division and frankly the deep sense of fear and anger that Republicans are feeling right now. Yes, Trump's hardest core supporters in the House have stood up today and defended him, but Kevin McCarthy, who is the leader of all Republicans in the House, he came up and he said that while I can't support impeachment, I will support censure of this president. And he also said very clearly that President Trump bears responsibility for this and that Joe Biden won the election. And while it's pretty remarkable that those two, or that last thing is something that's been hard for Republicans to say, it has been. And so making that declaration has become a line in the sand for Republicans. And the fact that it was the top Republican leader who went to the floor and made the speech that seemed most critical, perhaps, of President Trump, for someone who, of course, is not voting for impeachment, very notable and tells you just how divided things are here in the House. And remember, too, the House of Representatives has always been the place where you've seen the most pro-Trump Republicans in Washington come from. They are answering to constituents in districts where he is extremely popular. A couple of the newly elected members, frankly, are conspiracy theorists who...
So, yeah, I mean, like, that's the House vote. The voting begins now.
Who have been involved in some...
The votes are there and that they vote to impeach here over the next hour. What happens next? We know Mitch McConnell's office now signaling they won't take it up before inauguration, and he's not even sure where he's going to vote, despite reports that he was leaning toward impeachment. So where does this go?
Well, first of all, we have to see how the vote goes, because so far, as I'm now looking at the screen, there are about 5 Republicans who have already voted for it. That's not a final vote. They can always change
5 Republicans already voted for it.
7 have said they will vote for it. So already this looks like this will be bipartisan. Certainly the signal from Liz Cheney that...
Let's go to C-SPAN real quick. City House Speaker Kevin
Thank you, gentlemen,
McCarthy.
for yielding. Madam Speaker, let me be clear. Last week's violent attack on the Capitol was undemocratic, un-American, and criminal. Violence is never a legitimate form of protest. Freedom of speech and assembly under the Constitution is rooted in nonviolence. Yet the violent mob that descended upon this body was neither peaceful nor democratic.
Right.
It acted to disrupt Congress's constitutional responsibility. It was also an attack on the people who work in this institution, members, staff, and the hundreds who work behind the scenes so that we can serve the American people.
Right.
The greatest statesman in the history of our...
This is Kevin McCarthy. You might want to get to know him. He's the House Minority Leader, and he's going to remain the House probably going to remain the House Minority Leader. So you might want to get to know him a little more. You're going to hear a lot from him.
Our country understood that the most dangerous threat to freedom is lawlessness. A young lawyer named Abraham Lincoln famously said, "There is no grievance that is a fit object of redress by mob law."
Right. Abraham Lincoln did say that, but there was a different context. I'm not going to jump on him too hard for that, though.
Yet for several hours last week, mob law tried to interfere with constitutional law. Some say the riots were caused by Antifa. There is absolutely no evidence of that.
Did you hear that? Did you hear that, Republicans? I want him to repeat that one more time.
Yet for several hours last week, mob law tried to interfere with constitutional law. Some say the riots were caused by Antifa. There is absolutely no evidence of that. And conservatives should be the first to say so. Conservatives also know that the only thing that stops mob violence is to meet it with force rooted in justice and backed by moral courage.
I want him to repeat that whole line again. That was just.
Hours last week, mob law tried to interfere with constitutional law. Some say the riots were caused by Antifa. There is absolutely no evidence of that. And conservatives should be the first to say so. Conservatives also know that the only thing that stops mob violence is to meet it with force rooted in justice and backed by moral courage.
Preach.
And last week we saw mob violence met by courage, sacrifice, and heroism from the brave men and women who protect this institution every day. But for the bravery of the Capitol Police, the destruction and loss could have been much greater. We owe them a tremendous debt of gratitude.
I agree. It's hard for me to give any kind of any kind of law enforcement credit, but they were brave. Many were brave. They were overwhelmed. They're brave. I do respect that. Doesn't mean that I like the current state of policing in the country, but when they do show heroism, you got to give them credit.
The loss of Officer Brian Sednick and Officer Howard Lindegood is tragic and heartbreaking. We mourn their loss, remember their lives, and continue to pray for their families and loved ones. The officers of the Capitol Police deserve our eternal thanks. We will never forget the dangers they faced, the determination they showed, or the sacrifices they made. And make no mistake, those who are responsible for Wednesday's chaos will be brought to justice.
Yep.
Which brings me to today's debate. I believe impeaching the president in such a short time frame would be a mistake.
You know what? Even though I think the impeachment should happen, I can at least respect where he's coming from. You want to know why? Because at least he was balanced in how he came. Because he didn't just blame one side; he blamed both sides. And knows how he's going to go into how he thinks the impeachment vote was terrible. How he's going to criticize the left some, obviously, but he was balanced. People are going to listen to what he has to say, even though Kevin McCarthy is normally not trustworthy. I will listen to that because it was fair and balanced. He wasn't just one-sided. He actually called out his own side. And whenever you get a politician, even the leftist who calls out the freaking left, whenever you get politicians doing that makes me want to listen to them.
No investigations have been completed. No hearings have been held. What's more, the Senate has confirmed that no trial will begin until after President-elect Biden is sworn in. But here is what a vote to impeach would do. A vote to impeach would further divide this nation. A vote to impeach will further fan the flames of partisan division.
That's only if you allow that. You are the minority leader, and you can talk to Mitch McConnell. You can talk to the Republican Party. I'm pretty sure that Lindsey Graham is open right now. Pretty sure that Pat Toomey is open right now. Pretty sure a lot of Republicans are open to talking to you right now. The only way that a impeachment vote is going to bring division is if you allow it.
Most Americans want neither inaction nor retribution. They want durable, bipartisan justice. That path is still available, but is not the path we are on today. That doesn't mean the president is free from fault. The president bears responsibility for Wednesday's attack on Congress by mob rioters. He should have...
Right. So, minority, I gotta ask you, Mr. McCarthy, what do you think should happen to Trump as a result of that? If you're saying that the president bears responsibility, then what should be the punishment for that? Should he just walk away scot-free? If you're saying somebody bears responsibility for something, right, and that something that you're saying that they bear responsibility for cost some people their lives, what should happen as a result of that? Should he go to jail? Should he be impeached? What should happen as a result of that?
He would have immediately denounced the mob when he saw what was unfolding. These facts require immediate action by President Trump. Accept his share of responsibility, quell the brewing unrest, and ensure President-elect Biden is able to successfully begin his term. And the president's immediate action also deserves congressional action, which is why I think a fact-finding commission and a censure resolution would be prudent. Unfortunately, that is not where we are today. Truly, this past week was one of the most difficult for Congress and our nation.
Yeah. And I'm pretty sure that you guys feel that way because they came for Congress. I want you to understand that part of the reason why Congress was targeted is because Congress is so hated. You know, if you look at the Congress's approval numbers, I want people who are outside of the U.S. to understand why, part of the reason why this actually happened. I want you to see the congressional approval numbers. This is from Gallup. I'm going to post this in the chat real quick. I want you to see. So, in 2020, right? If you know, go back to the 2000s, 57%, 84%, but then you come down to 2005, it starts dipping from the point of maybe 2003, 2002, it starts dipping down here. Congressional job approval. Then 2010, you had it coming up in like maybe the late 30s, and then You come over to the mid between 2010 2015, it was at 9% one time, 9%. And you come over to 2020 and into 2021, it's down to 15%. So that's why Congress got targeted so quickly, because, oh God. And then look, here's the actual direct numbers. A poll taken from December 1st to December 17th, 2020 found that only 15% of Americans approve of the job that Congress is doing. 82% disapprove. More than 80% of the country, according to Gallup here, is saying that they don't like what Congress is doing. So now you can see how something like this could actually happen, because Congress, even more so than the Senate or even the president, is hated. They are hated in ways that you would not believe, bro. There are people out there who seriously want to kill congressmen. Like, this is really bad. So I just want you to understand, like, what you're dealing with there. People, you know, Congress has been so ineffective for so long, to the point where people don't find the idea of being violent towards them as necessarily a bad thing. You know, that's why this is happening. Let's continue.
Of all the days here, last Wednesday was the worst day I've ever seen in Congress. Our country is deeply hurt. So where do we go?
Wait. The worst day you ever seen in Congress. So it wasn't the passing of $600, just $600 for Americans, right? It wasn't the shutting down of businesses. It wasn't the freaking wars, the drone strikes, where you drone strike people who haven't had a goddamn trial yet. It was when you were attacked. Interesting. Very interesting.
Go from here. After all the violence and chaos of the last week, is it important to remember we were still here to deliver a better future for all Americans?
So, if you're here to deliver a better future for all Americans, Mr. Minority Leader, tell me, what kind of a future do you want a single mother who has multiple kids to have when she can't feed her children because her SNAP benefits have ran out and formula is very expensive, and her state's resources have actually dried up, and you only give her $600 and plus a little bit of extra money for each kid that she actually has? How are you making a better future for her? Meanwhile, you are drawing in as the House Minority Leader. You're drawing in more than $170,000 every year of her money that she's paying to you, but you're only giving her $600. But you're making a better future for her. Go on and keep on. Tell me how you're robbing me, but you put money in my pocket at the exact same time. Go on.
It does not matter if you are liberal, moderate, or conservative. All of us must resist the temptation of further polarization. Instead, we must unite once again as Americans. I understand for some this call for unity may ring hollow. But times like these are when we must remember who we are as Americans and what we as a nation stand for. And as history shows, unity is not an option.
It is. It is absolutely an option. That's why you have factions. Unity is never an option. The only time that you have unity in politics is when someone's about to get fucked. See, the only time where Congress is bipartisan and unified is when someone gets fucked. Just like when that whole COVID relief bill, you know, when they only gave you $600. Oh, they all voted for that shit because it fucked you over. See, that's how that works.
It's a necessity. It is as necessary today as it was at the start of our country. I want us all to think back to how John Adams and the Federalist Party handed power over to Thomas Jefferson.
Yeah, I remember that. I read about it. You know what I didn't see? Confederates storming the goddamn Capitol.
His party after the election of 1800. That election, and indeed that era, was one of the most divisive ever. Partisans used every dirty trick in the book. They demonized each other, dismissed reasonable dissent, and described their opponents as seditious.
You know, the reason why they were doing that is for the exact same reason why Obama told us if you like your doctor, you can keep your doctor. It's for the exact same reason George Bush told us mission accomplished. It's for the exact same reason that Donald Trump told us that don't worry about the bus stop ban. I still support your guns, even though I like taking the guns and giving due process later. It's called rhetoric, propaganda, just things to say. What you're describing is politics. And sir, politics, in case you haven't looked at Donald Trump's Twitter before it got nuked, you've got some nerve bringing up the past when the current reality is much, much weirder.
Sounds familiar? The election of 1800 could have destroyed our young nation. But instead of breaking us, it helped us bring us together, thereby preserving the world's last best hope of freedom. After a hard-fought battle over the Electoral College and Congress, Adams conceded. And a peaceful transfer of power, the first in American history, took place. Jefferson, for his part, put aside the division of the era and preached forgiveness. Yet,
preach forgiveness. All right. So, let me ask you a question. If I were to say that Colin Kaepernick should become a congressman or a senator, right? You think the right's going to preach forgiveness? Just letting bygones be bygones? Notice the losing side always wants to talk about the losing side always talks about unity, forgiveness, unity, and forgiveness. The losers always start off their speeches like that, or at least they always get to it.
yes, unity. In his first inaugural address, he famously said, "Every difference of opinion is not a difference of principle." Jefferson and Adams did not end every difference of opinion that existed in America, nor did they try. In a free country as big and diverse as ours, that would be impossible. What they did was more important. They recognized a deeper unity, a unity rooted in the famous proposition both men helped to write. At a critical moment in history, our founders chose peace, liberty, partnership over tension, division, and partisanship.
Because here's a big important distinction. There was no way for a mofo to then go on Twitter directly after that meeting, back during Thomas Jefferson days, and then just tweet out something that undoes everything that was done in that meeting. That's the pivotal difference. It's the instant speed at which things can deteriorate. Okay? So, if you're going to reference history, right, at least apply it somewhat towards the current. Don't just mention that, oh man, at one point at one point, we used to ride horses. And I would say, okay, what is that in reference to? Well, you know, now we have cars. You're just throwing out two random statements. You're not really, like, there's no point in it. So it's just fluff. That's what he's giving you, just a bunch of fluff. And then a bunch of special pleading because his side has lost. And they're all scared for their freaking jobs, right? Right now, currently, especially with him being a Republican from California. Because they just lost the Senate. They don't have the House. They won't have the White House. The losing side, the begging side, always preaches for unity. Because when you lose, if you can pull a chunk away from the winner, have you really lost?
For the sake of our country, we must make the exact same choice. We have already begun. Last week, despite the lingering shock and amid the windows still broken, we did what all healthy democracies do. We debated and we voted. In this country, we solve our disputes at the ballot box and through debates and votes on the floor of this exact chamber. We did our duty then, and we must do more. The eyes of the nation and the world are upon us. We must seize this opportunity and heal and grow stronger. As leaders, our place in history depends on whether we call on our better angels and refocus our efforts to work directly for the American people. United, we can deliver peace, strength, and prosperity our country's desperately needs. Divided, we will fail.
You know, this is what I mean by Republicans who, this is their main weakness. They love to rewrite history. We've always been divided. You want to know how I know that? Because how can you sit here and say, well, the Republican Party was the party that freed the slaves? Okay, so that means that if you freed the slaves, you have to free them from somebody, right? And I'm pretty sure that those people weren't just excited that you were freeing their slaves, right? I mean, that's probably a fight. It's probably a civil war that you fought over that, right? I mean, there was a vision back then. There was a vision over the Vietnam War. There was a vision over taxation. There was a vision over prohibition, marijuana and alcohol. There was a vision over a lot of things in this country. The wars. We've been in war for most of our existence. You don't think that there's been division over that? I think so. I would hope so. There's always been division in this country, and this country's always functioned even despite that division. So what he's painting is a complete antithesis of what America has been since its inception. We had to fight for our independence from Britain. So I'm not quite sure what period in America he's pointing to.
What we saw last week was not the American way. Neither is the continued rhetoric that Joe Biden is not the legitimate president. Let's be clear. Joe Biden will be sworn in as President of the United States in 1 week because he won the election. And the presidency and this Congress will face immediate challenges that must be addressed. I stand ready to assist in that effort with good faith, goodwill, and an open hand. The United States remains exceptional. We remain extraordinary. In the coming weeks and months, we must work together, all of us.
Yeah. We have seen some exceptional individuals. We've seen some extraordinary individuals. Oh, yeah. We have certainly seen some exceptional individuals. Haven't you? Have we not seen exceptional individuals? I know I have. I've seen plenty of them. I've seen so many exceptional individuals who just say and do the weirdest stuff. You know, but it is what it is. Anyways, guys, this is going to be me signing out for the Pitchfork podcast. You guys, thank you for joining me. You guys want to join in the show next time? Call in at 253-203-6784. Again, the number to call in is 253-203-6784. Anyways, this is Dion McNeil from the Pitchfork podcast. Sign out. Horns up. Peace out. Be safe. Wear a mask. Don't get COVID.